This is the Mountainside Podcast, and returning to the studio is Coach Marc Montoya. He's one of the most prominent coaches in the UFC and all of combat sports, the owner and operator of Factory X. He's a writer and public speaker, but above all that, Marc has been a huge mentor to me on so many different levels. He is truly a lead by example person, and I always enjoy any time I get to spend with him. Like always, this was an incredible conversation. Thank you
Marc
for
Montoya,
listening. Back in the house. It's been a minute.
Bro, what's up? Every time I come up here, it's freaking snowing.
I know. It's like we needed some snow, so I had to get you up here, right?
I think it's the time of year.
Every freaking time you've been here. Yeah, we got to invite you up in the summer.
Right.
I think we have. You just get...
I get busy.
You're so busy in the summer, man. Like
Get
the
busy.
UFC is just rocking, and then all the other fighters you got in there besides that, you know, like...
Yeah,
That's
no, it
wild.
gets busy. But it's great to see you, bro. The digs look good. You guys are killing it. So always happy for you. Always, whether I'm here or not, always cheering for you guys from the sidelines. So it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Goes both ways, man.
Yeah,
you helped
thank you.
me start this. You helped
I know,
me create
it's dope.
this monster.
I love it. I love it.
All these problems. There's
exactly.
actually no problems, dude. This has been a real blessing for me, man. Like,
Good.
It really has. And not from like a monetary standpoint, and like just what I figured out sitting at this table, man, has been unreal. And I've been talking about it a lot, but I've been reflecting on it a lot lately, man. And I got to thank you just because I've changed my mind at this table on certain things.
I love it.
Faith being one of them.
Yeah, I love it.
And you know, and having a relationship with God, and you help along that way. So I really appreciate that, man. Because I guess in the past I never really had positive influences in my life that were associated with religion.
Yep.
And now I'm seeing so many examples of it, of people that I look up to, you being one of them, you know, a mentor, and having you speak about it on a regular basis. It only took me 5 years to figure it out. I don't know. It's always been there. It's just never been, I just never felt right about it, I guess. So
Yeah, you know, the faith walk is interesting because everyone's in a different spot in that. And, you know, scripturally in the Bible it says, if you seek me, you will find me. And when you first read that, it's kind of like, what does that mean? And for me, what it's meant is to have a real relationship. And you know, I say this all the time, and is a real relationship requires really good communication. And that's the thing about it is you can say you want to have a relationship with somebody or something, but unless there's discipline and consistency and really good communication, how are you going to establish that, and how's it going to work? And so if it's one-sided only and God's calling you but you're not listening, then how's that going to work? It'd be like you having a friend that you never speak to but you call it a friend. And so you know, that seeking thing is big, and it's also, you know, you have to dive into scripture, because scripture is ultimately the pathway of what we're being asked to do, being shepherd of men and women, and of course being that spiritual leader in your home and those type of things. And you know, my wife said this to me, and I think I've said it here before, but she said to me one time, she said, you know, you may be the only Bible somebody reads. And I took that to heart, because I was like...
Such a good line, man.
It is. And it wasn't like I'm perfect. I'm not. But the point is what you do say and ultimately how you act is going to be a reflection of that. And we're all sinners. We were born that way. We're not getting away from that. That started from the dawn of time. And so to accept that stuff, and then also legitimately go out there and shepherd that's not easy to do, and it's not easy to go put that out in the realm essentially and say that publicly. But it's only not easy when you get in your own head about it, because we weren't asked what is your opinion about it. We were essentially told through scripture, hey, this is my will. Don't lean on your own understanding, lean on mine. And here's what I'm asking you to go do. And so, you know, those are things that I've taken very to heart, and just tried to just just be it, not act like it's something, but just try to be it and do it via action, because nobody likes sayers, people like doers. And so that ultimately has been where that has stemmed from in my life, and I've seen it change my life so much, and I've seen it change other people's lives dramatically. And so it's cool to hear that, you know, you're on that faith walk, and you know, it's a never-ending thing, just like life, you know.
A lot to figure out.
Yeah.
A lot to figure out.
Tons.
I think one of the biggest things with all of that is that lead by example mentality. And that's something that you've ingrained and taught, you know, or as long as I've known you, you've always been like that. And I think that really hits home, man, is, you know, now I've had kids for 15 years, you know what I mean? But I've always thought of that like lead by example. Just faith was never a piece of that puzzle or anything like leading back to faith or church or anything like that. So,
yeah.
And I have a whole new understanding of it.
Well, you know, people have church scars, you know?
Yeah.
And they,
I definitely did.
Yeah. When we speak about religion, there's scars there. Faith is different though, in my opinion, because it's hard when you talk about faith, because you're like, you can't see, touch, smell, feel it, like all those things. It's ultimately like, dang, I'm actually go look up the definition of faith. That's what it is. You know, you're having faith in something that doesn't have that tangible feeling or smell or whatever we're talking about. And so, you know, I've cornered hundreds, maybe thousands of rounds in fighting. And what I've learned over time is that there's really four things that kind of come back to, like I call them four pillars. And it's just, there's really only four things that come back in the sense of those rounds and fighting, but really more importantly in life. And, you know, I've been sharing this stuff online a lot lately.
I love those, by the way, man.
Yeah,
you got to keep doing that.
I will, yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
And, you know, those four pillars for me that I've just seen over time have been mindset. You know, mindset is a big thing. Execution. People know what to do, but it's like, are you willing to do it? And, you know, like we know what to do in the execution, but are you willing to do that? And so that's a whole different story, right? And so discipline's so boring. Like when you talk about discipline, people kind of roll their eyes. They're like, bro, discipline? Yeah, discipline's real. It's just wildly unsexy. It just is. And so, but over time, like when you talk discipline, you don't have this podcast still if you don't stay disciplined. You're not diligently still reaching out to people, finding new opportunity, you know, enhancing your studio, finding your faith, and continue to attract people that are great to be on here and those things. That's discipline. And so, you know, the discipline piece is huge. And then trust is huge. You know, trust is something that happens over time. You have to remove ego. And you have some scars. And so, you know, to go back to the faith piece, because I feel like faith is encompassing all of those things. You go back to the faith piece, you have scars, but scars are just showing essentially growth, because the scars show you the pathway that you got there. The scars didn't kill you, you know. I had kidney cancer. I have some wicked scars on my stomach, but it's a good reminder to me, not of the cancer. It's a good reminder to me of, man, you grew through that and you were able to adapt and you're still around. And so, you know, those, when I think about scars, I feel like those scars are a good thing. They're not a bad thing. And same is with the religion scars, the church scars. You learned what you didn't want. And then you started seeking what you wanted, and you're like, I don't have to follow people per se, but I need to follow the word, because at the end of the day, the word is what it's about. And so, you know, whether you're part of a church or not, I'm not saying you shouldn't be, but at the end of the day, if faith is there, but you're saying, hey, I'm going to rebuke this because of my scars, then you're looking at a scar in a bad way, in my opinion, because you're looking at a scar in the sense of, man, I got the scar and I didn't learn. I mean, the point about this whole life thing is we're going to screw up a ton, and then the failure is going to create the learning process and the growth. And if we choose that, or we can go down the deep dive of, man, the failure, everyone's got me down, and have that narrative, and you see how that works out. It doesn't turn out very well. And so over time, and I think also when you dive back into that stuff, the faith piece, the scripture, seek me, you will find me, it sheds light on those things, because it's like, hey, you ultimately have a different perspective. I've changed your perspective. I've given you different life, essentially. And so, I feel like God consistently continues to carry me through 3 different stages pretty consistently. He breaks me, and he breaks me and he takes me into deep waters where he knows I can barely swim, but my enemies can't, so that he can remove those things from me, the ego, all the stuff. He's putting some of that stuff, some of that doubt on me personally, so I have to lean on him. Like, that's the breaking stage. And then, the building stage. The building stage is a big deal, because that's where he's like, hey, I'm forming you to become this 2.0 version, 5.0 version, or however old you are, version. And then essentially, who you become. And so, you have the breaking, you have the building, and then you become this. And as you live longer, you probably have been broken more than once, and or at least felt like you're getting broken, I should say. So, that whole perspective doesn't just come from Mark. That perspective comes from, of course, living life, failing in life, succeeding in life, and then ultimately just turning over and say, I submit. Like, I submit. And in my line of work, submitting is how we actually become great. People look at, sometimes I tap to an arm bar in practice. Okay, well, why did we get in the arm bar? How do we defend the arm bar, et cetera, et cetera? And that's how you become great. That's how you become eventually a black belt or an expert in your field, whether it's in fighting or business or parenting or marriage or whatever substantial thing you're doing. And so ultimately, I think it all stems back to that, and it brings a big smile to my face to hear that not me, God is your influence, but I was just a speaking head, talking head that said, hey, this is what I'm learning, and didn't tell you should dive into any of that, but
no,
did exactly
none of it
what my wife
was forced.
said.
Like, you've never invited me to go to church or anything like that, right? Like, you hit the nail on the head with perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing that I've learned in here, having the podcast. Because you were the 4th episode. I started this thing as kind of like an outdoors thing to like give back to the community, and that was that's what I was envisioning with the podcast. But I quickly learned, like within the first 50 episodes, it took me 50 times. This is much more about human connection, man, and like listening and educating myself, like, and how lucky am I to ask any question I want that's uninterrupted and people are expected to almost answer it, and truthfully. Like, everybody that I bring in here is very honest. Like, you have been very honest. All my guests have just been the honesty. We've had a few liars in there, but the honesty, like, there's a different cognition level when you're speaking on camera for some reason, or recording. You want to be more thought out. You want to be more, I know that I do personally. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about everybody else. Maybe people that are on camera all the time don't see it that way. And I think I've gotten more comfortable with that. But this is time-stamped, man.
Yeah.
This is something, who knows? Somebody could be listening to this in 50 years from now, and if you are, thank you for continuing to listen. But yeah, I think really what it comes down to, though, is listening to other people's perspectives, man. Whether they've been in combat, ringside at a UFC fight, maybe they're quadriplegic and are now walking, what people have gone through with being in remission from cancer, or their cancer battles, near-death experiences. Like, there's so much perspective to take in from other people, man. And I urge people, just listen to them, man. Whether you're getting something out of it or not, just open your ears and listen. And not even on the face side, just for that human connection, man, I think is huge.
And Bobby, what I've learned is, I've been doing a lot of that stuff on social media and just talking about 4 pillars and keep building your pillars. And a lot of messages I get back about that stuff, the cage essentially has just been my classroom is kind of what I've realized. I've been like, the cage has been my classroom. And I've said this for a long time that my first job is to help my fighters per se, because that's who I deal with daily, but is to help them become champions in life first and then champions in the cage. And I've said that on your podcast before. And so, but because I've learned like, hey, the cage is my classroom, these messages that I get online from just posting, the 4-pillar mindset, execution, discipline, trust, like those kind of things, and then encompassing faith and culture and fight IQ and like those kind of things that are all kind of just stemming off of those things. Those messages that I've gotten have been really cool because people are saying, hey, this is really helping me as a parent. This is helping me as a leader. This is helping me as a business owner and down the line. And that was the whole point of doing it, is not to say, hey, look at me, is to say, look at all these are the things I've learned through being inside the mat and the cage and consistently having to, act under pressure and make decisions in front of millions of people, and whether they're right or wrong, like you have to learn from all that stuff and then be able to go out there and say, hey, I've found that, man, these 4 things really just consistently keep coming up, whether it's in the cage or in life. And I want to share those with you guys because it has taught me a ton, and it's taught the people that I'm around a ton. And I'd like to just have that outreach be bigger and continue to just essentially assist and help.
It's so beneficial. It's so beneficial to me personally. Like, just speaking for myself, like, I love seeing those. I love hearing your perspective. And I take a lot of what you say to heart, man.
Yeah,
and like, because the information that you're putting out there, you're not going on there and complaining about what happened in politics or this or that. I mean, maybe it comes up occasionally, right? Like, shit, it's a rough world to live in without paying attention to that, right? Like, you kind of have to a little bit. But I know 99% of the time when I come to Marc Montoya's page, it's going to be nothing but like positive information, man. And I love hearing it, man. So I'm getting something out of those short videos, the Sunday Corner, the mindset videos, the 4 pillars, like all that stuff is so cool, man. I think so many people can take so much away from that. Not only that, it gives you access to somebody that is coaching professional athletes at the highest level, probably arguably under one of the most stressful situations as an individual, on a professional sports level, because a football team, you walk out there with your team and you have a defensive coordinator and this and that and a sports trainer, like all this sort of stuff. But man, fighting or wrestling or those one-person sports, even though it's not one person, it's one person competing. It's one person in that spotlight against one other, and like, I think that sort of pressure and what you say to those guys in between rounds and how open you've been about sharing those moments with Dustin, like, and then the performance is there to back it up, and it's not all wins, right?
No.
Like, there's a lot of loss in there too, man. Yep. And like, you're super fortunate that winning record tends to be a lot higher than the losing record.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, there's the adversity that you face as a fighter on a personal level, what they go through, with weight cuts and the whole week before the press and, the dog and pony show all around town. And then you're expected to perform at a high level after being on death's doorstep almost a little bit, like it's insane. It's an insane sport. And if you don't have somebody in your corner that's got your best interest and is going to tell you what you need to hear, I think this principle applies in life, man. Like, you gotta lean on other people.
For sure. And the just to kind of further that point, I've been fortunate because organizations, teams, churches, people have reached out to me to come speak because they don't want a highlight reel. They want the like actual version of, hey, speak to us about what this looks like and feels like in your experience. And so I've been fortunate to go out and speak to, these type of organizations and teams and churches and those type of things. And it's something that I really enjoy, and it just continues to show me that the cage is my classroom and that I just continue to just, push forward in I'm always coaching fighters, and I'm just learning that, the continuance of coaching others, it has become a bigger deal than it ever has in my life. And maybe some of that is just my age, and I've gotten older and I've got more experience. But also there's more of I feel like a calling sort of to be like, hey, go speak what you've been through in life, in that cage, with fighters, in failure, in success, with cancer, with business, as a parent, all those things. And so, it's cool because I like those opportunities because I like to share, and sharing is how we gain knowledge. And, that's why we read books and listen to podcasts and go to your mentors and seek all those things because you're trying to just get better. And so for me, I continue to do that. And one of my goals this year is I actually started to write a book, and I'm going to.
Yes, let's go. I've been saying this for like 5 years.
I finally did it and bit the bullet, and I'm going to put it out this year. The essential premise is going to be stories for sure from fighting, how it pertains to life, and then at the end of the chapter, it's like you sitting on the stool and me essentially coaching you on the stool to sum up what that chapter was about. And most of it's about life and faith and all the things that encompass what we do. And fighting is a big part of it. And so there's going to be some really cool stories in there, like things that I've had just been really blessed to be a part of with all these amazing fighters, whether they're still with me or not. But I've had some amazing opportunities with a lot of people and been blessed to travel the world and see different cultures and feel betrayal and feel success and all the things that have happened. And so I'd like to continue to share that, and I'm putting that out there publicly because I've drugged my feet on this thing. Like you said, I've been asking you to do that forever. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, now's the time. I'm going to get that done. And so I've been writing it and I've been doing it. And
well, look at how much more, though. It's good that you drug your feet, because look at how much more is in the book. If you would have just done it.
Well, that was kind of my thought.
I know that you've been writing for much longer, so it wasn't my idea. But I remember saying that in episode 1 with you. Is like, dude, you should write a book.
Yeah.
And you were like, because we were talking about journaling or
Yep.
something like along those lines. And that's something I've done forever. But I remember vividly asking you, like, dude, you should write a book. And then I've asked you like every time. So I'm just excited that you're doing it. But like, if you did it 6 years ago, which is crazy, we're going on 6 years.
I know,
here.
it's wild.
Look at what all has happened in that. The cancer, everything, like your journey through that, how many people you've helped in that realm. Like,
yeah, that was a wild deal, man.
that was so wild.
It's I'll tell you something that happened to me this morning. So on Fridays in that series I've been doing on social media, I just started it today. It's called The Fighter's Corner, and I will tell stories about what it's like to be in the corner. I kind of flirted with it a little bit. I told a story about Dustin recently, and Dustin Jacoby and Yusuf Salal.
Yeah.
So I flirted with it a little bit, and then I was like, man, I need to name this thing like I named the Sunday Corner.
Yeah.
So I call it Fighter's Corner, and I posted it today. Well, when I had cancer, the ESPN, the UFC came out to Denver, of course, and did this whole tribute for the Stuart Scott Foundation, and they do it every year at the end of the year for the cancer awareness and all that stuff.
They did such a great job with that, by the way.
They did it just recently.
We talked about it, but I went to Austin, was at that UFC.
Yeah, I know.
And I walked in, and that was playing. I had no idea it was going on.
You're like, Mark's on the team. Yeah, exactly. Well, they asked me if they said, would you do this? And I said, Yeah, I don't. And they said, you can say no because this is pretty personal. I said, I want to do this because I want to create hope. And because a lot of the stories on there are about the cancer person, unfortunately, at the end, having death. And so my story, God obviously still has some work with me still here on earth. And so I didn't die from cancer. And I guess that's a blessing that he's given me. And so I wanted to do it because I was like, this will invoke some hope, because a lot of these stories are amazing stories, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, they're dying, and my story's a little different in the sense that I am a survivor from that, and so I wanted to tell that story. And so anyway, I did that, and then remember Chris Gutierrez fought in Madison Square Garden against Frankie Edgar right when I found out I had cancer, and I had that staph infection. I was in the hospital and the whole thing. And they told me you shouldn't get on a plane. You're going to lose your life if you do, because if you get too stagnant, you get a blood clot. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going. And like that whole story, right? And so when they came and filmed all that, okay, they told me, hey, this is for your personal use. If you want to use this stuff, you go right ahead. This is for you. So I said, okay, cool. And I haven't really used it much, like ESPN and the UFC have told that story a couple times, and then I've reposted it or whatever. Well, I was like, okay, in the Fighter's Corner, to start the Fighter's Corner, I think a cool way to start that, and I did this morning, is I'm going to post the Madison Square Garden cancer thing and talk about trust, essentially. Because, Chris came to me in the hospital when I was in the hospital, and I was in bad shape. And he came to me, and not only was I in bad shape from a staph infection, I never had staph in my life, but I get the staph infection so bad that, if you remember, that's when I went grizzly bear hunting in Alaska. I still had the infection.
I still got the bracelet that Brooklyn made me. So,
right, exactly. Yeah. And so that whole thing happened, and Chris came to me in the hospital, and he was like, Coach, man, you don't look good, bro. And I was like, Chris, I will be at your fight. And this was early on in the week, and I was looking terrible. And so, Bobby, I didn't have enough energy when it was a Thursday when they released me from the hospital. I'd been in the hospital for like 6 days. They released me, and Chris was fighting on Saturday in Madison Square Garden, and they released me on Thursday afternoon, evening. I didn't have enough energy to go shave. I told my wife, I was like, call the barber, see if they'll give me like a shave, because I can't go to Madison Square Garden looking like a bum, And so I literally had someone shave me because I didn't have that much energy, and I had the doctors telling me, you might die in this plane. And my wife was so against me going, but I remember thinking, I am not going to live in fear. They're telling me I have cancer. I'm not going to live in fear. I'm going to keep doing what I was born to do, and that's to go coach others. And Chris was that guy at that moment. And so, and if I die on the plane, then so be it. You know what I mean? I just remember having that attitude. And I remember when I got there, I got to Madison Square Garden, New York, right before on Friday. Just how big Chris's eyes were when he saw me. He was like, Coach, you're here, And I had a cane. I could barely walk. Like, it was ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, going back to my story. So I have all that footage, okay? So this morning, I post that, okay? It's dope. I edited it yesterday. It took me like an hour and a half. Super dope. Put the Fighter Corner thumbnail up because it's new, all these things. And then I get a freaking message from Instagram saying that I have copyright information, and they banned it worldwide, and you can't use it. And I'm like, bro.
Is it up now?
It was, but it's not up now because
I can maybe help you with some of that, because we go through it here, and the UFC is, no disrespect, but they're the fucking worst, man. They have a really good team of people that are watching shit.
It's tight.
Because, and YouTube is really tough, man. Like, YouTube is a pain in the ass. Like, you use music or something. Like, we have to be really careful. I just had Coach Tillian.
Oh, cool.
Tally.
He's awesome.
Yeah, love Eric, man. He's another dude that's been with
amazing
us since
guy.
the beginning, man. And, thanks for making that connection, man. But just salt of the earth. Love that guy. But we were in here, and we were talking about Jelly Roll and his recent transformation, and Jelly did a concert at the Vatican outside of St. Peter's Basilica.
Okay.
And I wish we could have shown that whole.
Yeah.
It would be so badass, but I had to like cut it out of the podcast.
Be amazing.
Because the first time, and it's crazy, when we do a podcast here, we spend, if you spend 2.5 hours recording, you're looking at, if you really want to go through it and do it right, you can shove it into an AI program, but we care about what we do here, I guess, because AI just doesn't get it good enough for me, right? So you're easily talking 3 to 4 hours to edit the whole podcast. And then, the files with these higher end cameras and the switcher and everything, it ends up being like 250 gigs that has to get condensed down to something that we can actually put on YouTube.
Right.
So then once that final product comes out in high definition, it ends up being like 20 gigs, right? And then so you have to render all that. So that can take 4 to 5 hours. Right. And then to just upload it to YouTube, because we live up in the mountains and we don't have like super stellar internet up here.
Yep.
You're still looking at another 2 hours, and then it'll flag it. And then it takes another hour to go through it. And then you're like, oh man, I gotta go through this process all again. I mean, luckily it'll give you the timestamps of where it's at, so you can go in and kind of cut it out. But
wasn't it crazy?
Man, I've had a couple things. I've had a couple lawyers contact me actually too about photographs and just stuff that we've used, like showing on the pod. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man! Like,
it's crazy because I was like, wait, hold on a second. That was my story.
Yeah.
You came to here. Yes, some of it was filmed, like edited in the MSG walkout and the highlight of Chris, knocking Frankie out with a knee, and okay, cool. And the broadcast team voiceovers in the back, okay, whatever. But that was all given to me. And I was like, man, this would be dope to use.
I own the rights to it.
And I'm the one that had the cancer. I'm like, you came and did this story because of that. And then
it's crazy
me today, and I was like,
I've had artists sit in here.
It's crazy.
Like, we play their music.
Right.
And I'm talking to the artist, and it still shows up as like a copyright. And I have to go in. There's ways you can go in and file a complaint, but it's a pain in the ass.
I filed one this morning.
Might as well. It's going to take days,
I know.
right? And then it kills the content.
Just killed
and all that
killed the whole vibe. And I was like, dang it.
Yeah, let me help you out with that in the back end.
You.
Or if you ever need advice with that, I know you have a team down there to kind of help you out with that. And
I am the team.
People. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But there's definitely, like, in the last year, we've grown on YouTube, I don't know, like 100%.
Good,
which
good
I'm
for you.
super stoked on. But there's all this crap you got to do in the back end to like make sure it's right and make sure all those boxes are checked so YouTube will actually pick it up and put it out there, right? But,
yeah.
Because if not, man, you miss one of those little toggles or something. There's just, you might as well put it in a closet on a VHS retape and let it play. You know what I mean?
I was just disappointed this morning. I was like, dang, that thing was going to look dope.
I'll just put it out there again.
I'm going to have to do something after we do the podcast. I'll have to go film something at home or whatever and put it up this evening as a reiteration.
Replace it?
Yeah, I'm going to have to, because I wanted to kick it off on Fridays.
You should just do an honest one. Just be like,
I will.
Hey, man, this is what happened. I had something really dope, so I'm going to figure out a way to get it, and I can help you out with that.
Yeah,
but
no, I appreciate
there's
it.
got to be a way around it. But yeah, music and all that sort of stuff, it's really hard. And I guess I kind of get it, right? Like,
I
you
get
wouldn't
it.
want people ripping you off or
No, I
ripping
get
off
it.
your sayings and stuff.
I get it, but it's
at the same time, it's crazy.
It was given to me. I was like, yo, cool. You finally use it.
Or
it's been
if
3
you're
years.
propping somebody up and you're only driving more people to watch a video or to
all
an
positivity.
organization, it's like, why are you threatening to sue me, man? Like I said, nothing negative. Like, this isn't me crapping on an organization or a singer or anything. Like, I only give props, right?
Yeah.
Only positive stuff, or I try to. It's very seldom that I go negative on something unless it's so blatantly stupid, and I just don't like to thrive in it, man. It's a freaking waste of energy. Wildlife policy, I guess I have, and but that's important to me.
Yeah,
So,
it is important.
Yeah,
What is the scoop with that in Colorado right now?
dude, it's getting worse.
It's a
and
disaster.
worse. I'm trying to help as much as I can, and it's really hard, man. They're playing the long game with just wearing you out, right? And it's working on me, like, because I can't focus all my energy and effort on it, right? Like I just can't. I have too much going on in life, and you really have to keep your finger on the pulse. I would say the absolute best way to do that is support organizations that have hunters, that actually use common sense and use data and science to back up what they're saying, I think is really important, because there are some organizations out there that are just spreading lies, basically, that are pro-hunting. But like Colorado Parks and Wildlife puts out a ton of information, like more than you could even imagine. You can get involved. You can go to their caucuses. You can go to all the commission meetings and all that sort of stuff. And it happens pretty regularly. The best way, and the person who I support in it, is Dan Gates.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He actually, one way that we support him, because I can't go to everything that he needs me to go to, but one way that I support him is he records Through the Gates in here. He started that podcast in here in the studio. Which is
when
really
you had
cool.
him on, that's how I heard about him. So I was like, I want to watch this, because of course, hunting and fishing is very near and dear to me.
Too,
yeah.
Man. And this guy has uprooted his life, shut down his business just to fight wildlife policy, and this is his new thing.
Good for him.
So it's Coloradans for Responsible Wildlife Management, SaveTheHunt.com. He's got a podcast now. Look, this is only a year in. He's got freaking 80 episodes.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
And
we appreciate you.
Dan's a stud, man.
Yeah, we appreciate
he's
you.
Salt of the earth. He's a great dude. But that's the best way to keep up with it, man, because they're not stopping, because there's something new that's coming on the ballot, and it's basically like they're trying to build this wildlife. Go and listen to Dan, because I'll screw this up. But basically, it's a wildlife. I forget exactly what the terminology is. They're basically trying to create a board of diverse people that there might be one hunter in there, and then the rest are, come from different backgrounds or whatever, and they're going to dictate what wildlife policy is to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and kind of take it out of the scientific side of stuff, where Colorado Parks and Wildlife can't even really get involved with politics right now. They're basing everything on science. Like, what are the numbers? What are we seeing? Like, and boots on the ground information, So it's like, I don't know. It drives me insane, and I don't want to dive off on those tangents, because I can't speak on it. The best place to go and get it is Through the Gates.
Yeah,
and we'll have Dan on several times this year. Yeah, he's a stud, man.
He's awesome. We appreciate I appreciate what he's doing, and thanks for having him on, because that's how I heard about it.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, him, and he's got some valuable info, and he's doing, at least for us as hunters and fishermen and fisherwomen, whatever, he's doing an amazing job. So thank you.
Yeah, he's incredible. We'll put a link, if you're listening to this right now, in the show notes to Save the Hunt and Through the Gate. We'll put all those links in there, man, because it's big, and if they don't have our support, they're basically voiceless.
Yep.
So it all comes down the way everything works now. So
yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot on the horizon, man. That's still going on. Like, everybody, because we won on ballot 127, which was to ban mountain lion hunting, everybody's like, "Oh, good, it's done." It's not.
No,
they're just coming back.
I know.
Different angles. So I think it's going to be a constant battle.
Yeah.
So I say, stay vigilant.
Yeah.
Stay up to beat with it, and that's the best way to do it. Is through Dan.
No, it's
in
crazy.
Colorado
for sure.
And they're starting to. There's a lot of other states that have. That are starting organizations that are following his model, which is great, man. Like Utah, and because what we did with ballot 127 was like unheard of.
It was amazing.
Yeah, we showed up to the ballot box.
I was happy. I was like, freaking finally.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was
what
happy.
A year.
Yeah. I know.
What a year.
Agree.
Yeah, sorry, not to dive off on that, but it's something that I'm super passionate about. I know you are too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I think they need all the help that they can get. So I always like talking about it.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, we dove YouTube and you putting out the story with you going with Chris to Madison Square Garden, straight out of the hospital. Like, fights are on Saturday night. You left the hospital on a Thursday
afternoon, got on a plane Friday, like late morning, and then got to New York like mid to late afternoon. And then I saw Chris and we went to dinner, and then Saturday we woke up and Saturday night we fought. And so, that my wife, I asked my wife, she was like, I don't want you to go. Don't you hear what the doctors are saying? You shouldn't go. You could die, etc. I was like, well, listen, then come with me. And my wife doesn't love to travel. And so she came with me.
Especially to New York. Dude.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Real travel,
exactly. That's a real trip from Denver. And so anyway, we went and did that. And so, but anyway, in the future, I will continue to have stories out there, not just about Chris, but, I've had, like I said, been really blessed to continue to, in the past, but also here in the present and here in the future, is just have those experiences. And the corner is one of my, is such a cool time because, you have 60 seconds, but you don't really have 60. You have about 45 seconds, but the fighter's really just looking for
Is that
truth.
in between rounds?
Yeah.
You're talking. Okay,
so, sorry, in between rounds when...
You have 60 seconds from when the bell rings.
When the bell rings until a 10-second clacker comes and says, hey, you got 10 seconds until your 60 seconds is up. So you're at 50 seconds, essentially, and it's time for you to get out. And so, we're there in the corner to... What I've learned is we're there in the corner to speak truth. And... truth isn't always nice. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not, but really, the truth is the clarity, and that's ultimately what the fighters are after. And I say this a lot is when the fighters are in the cage, they feel what I can't feel. I can't feel what they're feeling because they're present with their opponent in the cage. I can't feel that. But I have that bird's eye view of what they can't see sometimes as well. And so when you have trust, I have to trust what you're feeling. You got to trust what I'm seeing. That's what's happening in the corner, essentially. And this is what I've learned over time, is when you get the opportunity then, if the round ends and you're between rounds, you come in with the stool and the water and the whole thing, and then you're sitting there, and ultimately what you're doing is you're trying to bring clarity. Hey, what are you what are you feeling? Here's what we're seeing. Our game plan is XYZ. Let's go execute. But there has to be a lot of trust right there. And there's a lot of vulnerability in between the corner, and the advice given in the corner is not ever perfect, and it's not always right. I've screwed up in there before. I've done amazing in there before. And so, just learned over time that it's just a special moment. It's the wins are amazing, of course. There's no bigger high in life than winning a UFC fight. Like, that's such a crazy high that hard to even articulate in words what that feels like. And you'll never get that again, to be honest with you. There's things that are close, like hunting and catching a big fish and having children and those kind of things. There's some monumental things in life that are amazing, but the winning in the cage is a wild feeling, and the losing in the cage is a wild feeling. The just humility that happens from losing in your underwear in front of millions of people, locked in a cage with someone that wants to put you in the hospital, is a very humbling moment.
And it's a razor's edge, man. That's the thing what people don't get. It can go either way, man. I know. One little mistake. And
it's so wild. And so anyway, the corner, though, is I've learned over time, has just become such a cool and special place where you have a lot of clarity. A lot of stuff's happened there. I've put fingers back in place, shoulders back in place, screamed at them, consoled them, been very positive, been like, you need to get on it, in their shit before. Like, there's a lot of things that happen in there. And And that moment between you and that fighter is forever etched in memory, because those moments, you know, it's like the walkout. I love the walkout because nobody knows what's going to happen yet, but they're both there to go prove that I'm there to show that I can do this thing. And you get the boos and the cheers and your walkout music and the energy and people shouting your name and people shouting at you in a negative way. And so
a lot of people too,
a lot of people. And so the walkout is a very special time too. And it's, you know, it's one of the reasons why I tell my fighters all the time to just enjoy that, like take it in, because you're not going to have that forever in life, right? You're not going to. Did you have a whole crowd of people screaming and hollering for you when you left your house today? No. And so, you know, the point is that it's a short window that they get that. And the fighting is kind of a blur for the fighters. They don't remember a lot of it until they rewatch it. And even if it's a fast fight, and if it goes, you know, 3 rounds, 5 rounds, whatever it goes.
What do you think? You think it's, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you think that that's, because I've had blurred moments like that in many different, whether it's hunting or whatever. I've never fought in an octagon, been in plenty of fights where I shouldn't have been. But do you think it's adrenaline, like shuts that part of the brain off where it's just, I don't know, it's crazy sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think adrenaline is 100% part of it. I think that you're so locked into a moment where I think we were built to, I don't think we were built to fight or fly. And you're now you forced yourself to fight. And so when you get into that position,
and you're locked in it
in your underwear, when you get in that position,
right?
Yeah, there's some adrenaline there. And I also think, you know, that whole cognition of your brain in the sense of it being aware of what's happening is absolutely there. Like they're feeling what's going on. But they're so locked in that you have to, like, that's why you see vets are so different than when you watch vets fight. They're like UFC fighters, for example. You watch them fight, and then when you watch the top 10 in the UFC fight, there's a different level there as well. When you watch amateurs fight, you know, there's a different level. And so when you watch amateurs fight, it's funny because I looked this stat up recently about the art of feinting. Feinting essentially is like faking a movement. And so it was funny because it said amateurs will throw 5 to 10 strikes with 0 feints or maybe 1 feint inside of 5 to 10 strikes. So if you think about it, if you ever go watch an amateur, like they just go at it. It's wild because they're just going at it. It's like 2 kids fighting in an alley, you know, and they go at it. But then when you see like the high level, to take the top 20 in the UFC or top 10, whatever, those guys are faking and feinting 2 to 8 times per 1 committed strike.
Really?
Yeah. So if you think about that, that right there, that stat alone is showing
it's checkers to chess.
And it's just showing that. So I think the cognition, like what you were saying, is they start to get used to, I don't know if you ever fully get used to it, but you start getting used to having some type of peripheral view where you're not just tunnel vision. And like an amateur, I feel, is just tunnel vision. Because when you go corner an amateur, I don't know if they hear 10 of your words, to be honest with you. So
I can imagine, though. Man.
When you go corner a UFC vet, they'll have conversations back and forth with you inside of the rounds fighting. And so, like, hey, I didn't hear that. What'd you say? Gotcha. Like they're having conversation back while they're locked in. And so there's a massive difference there. And I just think a lot of it is adrenaline, but more so, just like in life, it's experience. It's experience of how to deal with things, you know, and that's why it's so tough when young kids become parents, you know, like my parents were 16 when they had, my mom was 16, my dad was 17, 18, somewhere around there. Those are kids having kids, and the experience you have, you're very tunnel vision. Like, do you even know what the hell you're going to do at 16? Not to mention
You just
raise
learned how to
another
drive.
Exactly, right. And so very similar in life, similar in fighting. That experience is everything. And sometimes we do it the hard way, and sometimes we learn from other people and not our own mistakes, and that actually speeds up the process. And so, but yeah, that's that moment is, those moments are so fun and for me so memorable and worth writing about. That's why I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing on social media, and why I'm gonna write and finish this book, and because those stories out there are cool, man. You know, I was just telling Dustin Jacoby, actually, I said,
I love Dustin.
Yeah,
by the way,
he's
too.
awesome.
Yeah,
Him and Cody are actually fighting. Cody Brundage.
Cody too, man.
Yeah, they're fighting in Australia on the 31st of January in Sydney, and they both are fighting on that card. So they're both in the thick of it right now. I just left sparring actually to come up here.
Oh, nice.
I was just telling Dustin the other day, I said, man, because, you know, Dustin and I have been together for, 12 years, I think.
That's crazy.
Over a
That's
decade for
long
sure.
time, man.
Yeah.
It's a long time to be in a game. Game too.
So long.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you know anything about Dustin's story, the bottom line is Dustin was in the UFC really young and had the talent to be there. He just didn't have the experience to be there, and got cut early, meaning the UFC released him just a few fights in because he didn't have much success, and he was in his early 20s. Got released. That's when I first started training him, because we actually fought him. Chris Camozzi was my fighter, and Chris fought Dustin.
Yeah.
We beat Dustin, and then not long after that, Dustin was released from the UFC. And then Dustin came out. He's originally born and raised here in Denver, but came out to Denver, and he was living in Illinois, and came out here. And then ever since then, he's obviously been here and been part of Factory X and under my tutelage. And he and I have a great relationship outside of the mat. That doesn't always happen. And so we have similar interests in life, golf and hunting and, you know, those kind of things. So we do some of that together as well. But anyway, my point is, Dustin, when he got out, he was then fighting in different organizations like Bellator and some of the regional promotions and that, and just kind of bumping around, and then got signed by Glory Kickboxing and did an amazing job. Like, won those multi-tournament stints where you're fighting 2-3 times in a night. And then ultimately, if you win your third fight in that same night, you are the champion.
Those are so crazy.
They're wild. They're wild. And they're really cool. And you want to talk about resilience and just perseverance to go get a job done. Because you should see they're already battered up after one fight, not to mention when you're done with 3 in one night. And so, you know, but he won multiple of those, and then had the opportunity to fight for a title contention and title fight, and had his forearm broken by Simon Marcus in a title fight that we were actually winning. And, you know, as a coach, I had to make a really tough choice in that fight, because the words no coach ever wants to hear is, I think I broke my arm. You know, right?
Yeah.
And so when he comes back to the corner, he's there in between rounds, and he's like, Coach, I think I broke my arm. And I'm like, really? And I remember the kick. I just, you know, you don't know what, he didn't even wince hardly in the round. And so I put my finger on his forearm bone, and it's just stair-stepping up and down. And I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And so, you know, I'm faced with that decision right there. Do I put a fighter back out there, knowing the implications of this fight, knowing what this kid's gone through to get to this point to win a title? And, you know, I had to call the fight and said, hey, he's not fit to fight anymore. He broke his arm, etc. Well, when Dustin went and got his surgery, that's like a 12-inch scar that he's had on his arm, you know, and he had to have that surgery multiple times, by the way. And he ultimately stepped away from fighting because of that, and just the mental pounding of trying to go through this thing. And, you know, the reason Dustin got back in the UFC was Anthony Smith, back in the day, was getting ready to fight John Jones for the world title. And I remember Dustin had been out, he hadn't been training, and he had been, you know, had multiple surgeries on his forearm, didn't get the opportunity to win the title, has gone around the block in the sense of was in the UFC, got released, did regional promotions, Bellator, other things, did the Glory kickboxing thing, had a lot of success, but didn't win ultimately the title, etc.
Fought Poets on there.
Yes,
Yeah.
he fought. Yep, he fought Pahea there, and so so you've been, like Dustin always says, you got to go through it to get to it. Get to it to go through it, and the whole thing. And so it's like he was doing that, and then when Anthony was getting ready to fight John Jones for the world title in the UFC, part of it is I know Dustin, and I remember telling him, bro, you're still so talented. It's not, you have more left in the tank, But he also needed his space, and I respected that, so I gave it to him. But we needed some high-level striking partners for Anthony, and I reached out to Dustin. I said, hey, man, you don't have to train daily, but will you come in and give Anthony a look, like just as a sparring partner? Because you could be a valuable asset for his just build up to this title fight. And Dustin agreed, and he hadn't trained in a while. And when Dustin came in, he was doing really well. And he's fighting the number 2 kid in the world, and just reintroduced to himself that coach is right. I got more in the tank, and I think I can go get after this. And then Dustin decided after, Anthony's camp, hey, I'm going to come back, coach. And, people always see these guys in there now, but what they don't see is when Dustin said, I'm going to come back, he'd been off the map for close to a year, right?
That's crazy.
Everyone thought that he was done fighting, including me, even him. Reintroduction of some sparring with a really quality opponent like Anthony, who was rightly the right guy to go fight John Jones again, to fight John Jones for the title. And when Dustin sees, man, I still got the chops to do this thing, and I can hang with one of the best in the world, and I'm pushing him, and he's pushing me, I can still do this. What people don't see is Dustin had to go back on the regional scene and literally fight for Sparta Combat League, which is just a local promotion down the street, in a barn, by the way, at the fairgrounds over there. And the dirt was the floor that you were walking on to get to the cage. And he fought one of those multi-tournament fights.
Wow.
And won that fight, fought 3 fights in one night, but he was already used to it because of Glory. Talk about grooming him to get back to where he is. And then won a bunch of fights, and then got to Contender Series. And when he went to Contender Series, he wasn't young. He wasn't a 23-year-old. Those are the prospects that they're looking for.
Right. They want the young blood.
He was in his early 30s. And I remember Dana contemplating, and Dustin won and won well, and Dana contemplating whether he was going to sign, contemplating whether he was going to sign Dustin or not. And Dana made the right choice, but he was slightly reluctant. And I remember thinking, what, are you crazy? This kid can do amazing things. And Dustin literally has been in the top 20, 2 top 10 in his second stint back in the UFC.
And it's like a go-to on these major cards, man. And you want fireworks, you call Dustin Jacoby.
Unbelievable. It's like just unbelievable. But and then, my point in that whole story is you as a listener, you need to know that backstory, because the other day I was telling him, I said, hey man, I'm gonna write this book, and I already wrote your chapter. And so I read him like a page of the chapter that I wrote about him, and the basic premise was that scar is a reminder for him about his growth, not his demise. That 12-inch scar on his forearm is a reminder about his growth. And every time you look at that, remember that's what got you to where you're at today, because ultimately that's the true story. And so those are the things that I've been really blessed to be a part of, and I just want to continue to tell the world about, because these stories are amazing and
so much inspiration.
Yeah, and just inspirational for sure, and the grit.
And I think a lot of people see that and they think automatically, I could never do that, or that won't be me, or they just get complacent with what's in front of them. Like, it must be nice, or it must be so nice. But I don't think anything comes easy.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Other than jail time. Doing the wrong shit comes, you can find easy results. but they're not the results that you want, right? It's not world champion.
And I don't think anyone wants easy. No. Even though you sometimes think you want easy, I don't really think anyone really wants easy. Like,
you don't appreciate it.
Well, growth doesn't happen when it's easy. Growth happens in chaos. And so, and I don't mean like life has to be chaotic. I just mean you have to feel uncomfortable to grow, and go back to the breaking part that I was talking about when it comes to just growth. That breaking part's not fun. That's very uncomfortable, and it takes you in deep waters. But like I said earlier, God takes you into deep waters where he knows your enemies can't swim, but you can. And so that's what I think we're after, because it's never going to be perfect here, and it's not going to be easy. I don't know one person that is on this earth that's like, life's been easy. And you see people with money and cars and fame, or whatever your barometer of that you put people into to say they're successful. It's not easy, and that's not easy either. And there's a massive responsibility when you have those kind of things. It's a whole different thing. And so it's like when I see young amateurs say, I can't wait to be in the UFC. And I'm like, yeah, the UFC is amazing. It's amazing. To get there is never the goal. To stay there is the goal. That's the hardest part, right?
Right.
But what they think is the money is going to change because they're not making any money with the sacrifice they're giving. What they don't understand is the money just creates even more pressure and responsibility, because
and
now
more
you
temptation
have
to do the wrong to do the wrong thing.
Fact. And so exactly. And so, but I think ultimately what we want is we want growth. That's what we want. And, the like grit has to be your cardio. If you think about it, like the grit has to be your cardio. And that's the thing that I have found in my own life. That's what I've seen others that are successful have. And is that, when you go run or you do anything that is physical to improve your stamina and your cardio, you have to consistently do that, because when you stop, when the discipline ends, then you don't have the same cardio you had, right? And so
it's that consistency, right? Consistency,
the discipline
with reps. Like I find that even in the podcast, if I take 3 weeks off, I come back and I'm fumbling over words. It's like I'm never sharper than when I'm recording 3 in a week, because I know I need to really be on my game.
Yep. And like I said earlier, discipline is wildly unsexy.
Yes.
It just is, man. Like if you think about it. And I just did a little piece on Instagram talking about how I'm going to grow out a handlebar mustache.
It's coming in nice, dude.
It's pretty awkward. And
so you're going the full wax?
Yeah, I don't want to like wax it up and like turn it up, but I want to use the wax to have it like natural kind of, I've always had a beard, but I've never had the discipline or the desire to say I'm going to grow an actual mustache per se. And I don't want a cop stash. I want more like a
outlaw stash.
Emmanuel Zapata. That's on my arm. I want like one of those kind of like handlebar, natural kind of ones. But this is wildly unsexy and awkward right now as we speak. So, but
it doesn't look that bad.
Well, nothing at the beginning looks good is my point. You have to earn it and let it mature and happen. But that requires discipline. And it's just not that fun, to be honest with you. It's pretty boring, discipline is. You rinse and repeat. And next thing you know, you have compounding interest, and you look at your bank account and you're like, damn, I actually have some reserves in there. Same in life, same in, whatever you're trying to accomplish, money, whatever it is. And so a mustache, but but we'll see. Like you give me like 3 or 4 months, I'll come back and maybe we'll have the thing turned up and looking money.
That's awesome. We'll have you back then for sure. Yeah. Well, I know some great mustache coaches if you need them. I know some dudes with some serious mustaches. I got a couple buddies that have like the full.
See, there you go. See the like natural one. I don't want the crazy like turned up one, but I want more of a natural one.
Yeah.
That guy's dope. Look at him.
God damn,
that's amazing.
That thing's
that's
sophisticated.
Crazy. I don't know if I'm follically blessed to do that, but that's pretty legit.
We had.
You know who has a dope one? He trains at my gym.
Vince have one for a while?
Vince Pichel has a really good one.
He's got a good mustache.
Is Jeremiah
Wilbur.
Yes, dude.
Yes.
He has a
Black
great
dude.
one.
Dude, he's one of my favorite humans of
Isn't
all
he
time,
awesome?
man. Like,
Yeah.
that dude is such a stud.
He's awesome.
I'm so bummed he moved to Florida. I get why,
I know, it
but
sucks.
it was heartbreaking for me, man, because
I
he's
know, I'd
just
love to
been
see
like,
him.
dude, he's one of the guys, like, that reached out to me to come on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
A long time ago, and we just hit it off. And man, you want to talk about a savage human being, like a true warrior.
He's
man.
awesome,
like
bro.
that dude.
He's so awesome.
I don't even know how many deployments he had. And
I know.
his military.
He's got a wild
career is
story.
insane.
Yeah.
But then what he does outside of that, man, like, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Pull up Jeremiah Wilbur. And he's just like in his garage by himself, just doing like fucking
crazy,
takedown
bro.
drills. Like he's
great.
going back to like
I love
high
that
school
guy.
wrestling, man. That guy.
I love him. He's freaking hilarious.
And he's one of my like brutally honest friends, man. And you need people like that to be brutally honest with you, man. Like,
I love to see. Look at his stash.
dude.
That's the stash right
That's a
there, bro.
fucking
That
good
might
one.
take me
Yeah.
17 years to grow like that, but
Look at this. Go
Look,
to
that
the,
one
the
right
red
there.
mats. Yeah.
there we go. See, he's a savage like that. That's why I love this dude.
All man.
Oh yeah, I love this guy.
And it's so cool.
Look at him. Look at him. He's such a savage. And he's got a stocking hat on,
Yeah,
and it's
dude.
orange. Like, of course it is. And look at that stash.
He's wearing a shirt that says "Kill all pedos,"
bro. And he would come into the gym and he would train,
Yeah.
and just get after it. And I loved it. And so anyway, but
I'm pretty sure I sent him down there.
did you?
Yeah.
Well, Jeremiah, I'm aspiring to grow that stash that they just had. That one
Look
right
at
there.
that, dude.
So, bro, any tips you got for me, or maybe some implants or whatever I need to do to get that thing to look like that? Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Maybe you need to go guide a season in the Wind River Range.
Listen,
Like,
I guided back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that shit anymore. Too old for that. So,
Yeah.
but Jeremiah
it's just
hooked me up,
time,
bro.
man. I think like
No, it's time. It's time and discipline.
Yeah.
He was disciplined to get through the awkward stage, so it looks dope like it looks right there.
yeah.
Anyway,
And that guy's a wealth of knowledge himself.
yeah, I love that dude.
I love it.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Great
He's
human.
awesome.
I want to go back to something that you were talking about a few minutes ago, and I think I interrupted you and kind of cut you off. It's so crazy. The fight game is so crazy to me because you put in 3-4 months at minimum, probably, and then you get maybe 15 to 20 minutes to prove yourself, right? Or 25 max,
Maybe 30 seconds.
maybe 30 seconds, right? So you have basically 50 seconds in between each of those to coach your fighter to actually, I mean, you're able to yell at them through the cage and the chaos, but I don't know if you can really call it. It is coaching, but not them sitting in front of you. So you add that up to like 4 or 5 minutes over months, you
Yep.
know, of, I guess where I'm going with it is, in those moments, do you remember all of them? Like you said that you made some good choices, you've made some bad choices in those moments. Like, how have you honed your craft? And like when you pick up that stool to go in there and have them sit down on it, do you already know what you're gonna say, or do you let it flow sometimes? Is it a flow state, or?
Most of the time, I will have dialogue with the corner staff as we're sitting there, and throughout the round, what the viewer doesn't see, at least in my corner. No, I'm not saying this is every corner, but at least in my corner, what the viewer doesn't see is the constant conversations that happening between the coaching staff and us having a conversation about what's happening in the cage, and a lot of it is, hey, when we sit in front of him, we need to remind him about this. Or, hey, when if the round ends and we get in the corner, give me 20 seconds to tell him about this on the ground or on the cage or whatever it is. And so that dialogue that happens in the corner, I've learned over time as a coaching staff needs to happen. Because when I first started coaching, I didn't have the seasoned coaching staff that I have, and so it'd be all me pretty much giving the conversation or advice back. And so I didn't conversate much with my corner staff. They were just conversating with me in the corner. And there's a structure of how the corner works, meaning if I have the jiu-jitsu coach,
ranking?
if I have the jiu-jitsu coach there and a wrestling coach there, and then me as the head coach, let's say, in certain aspects of what's happening in the fight, a coach in my corner is then going to take the lead. So let's say there's wrestling structure going on. I would let the wrestling coach go ahead and speak out. And if the fighter's not responding, I will just repeat, because maybe it's my voice that they're only hearing in the fight. So I would repeat what they said. Or I'll say to my coach, hey, and give them advice I'm seeing as well. And then they'll just regurgitate that through the advice they're giving plus what's coming from the other two coaches potentially. But the voice that's heard mostly is going to be the head coach in my corner. And so, and a lot of times some fighters will say, I don't want the wrestling and jiu-jitsu coach to speak out loud. I just want your voice coach and them speak to you and you say it. And so, and it's not that I couldn't do all of that, because I've done that many times, but there's a structure there and their knowledge base is valuable. And so it's like, okay, let's do this in a structured way. So a lot of times when we get in the cage, we've already discussed, hey, this is what we need to do when we go talk to this fighter, when we get in front of him for the next 50 seconds. Let's go speak to them about this. Or sometimes what'll happen is, for example, if it was me, I would say, we're not saying any of that. I'm going to go get in his shit right now. And the technical advice does not matter right now. We're going to go get in his shit a little bit and
because sometimes they need a wake-up call.
Yeah,
right?
and wake him up. The technical advice isn't going to matter. And so you need to know when that's true and when that's not true. And I've screwed that up before too. And so, but it's never from because you weren't trying. It's because you're learning. I'm learning in there just like they're learning in there. And, you know, there's, you as a leader, you make decisions that are amazing, and sometimes you make decisions that aren't, and you get to live with both of them. And so, you know, that's what happens in there. And it's when you're going in there like, hey, we're not speaking technically, I'm going to go in there and get his attention. That's flow, because then that's coming from the heart. You're like, okay. And the reason that's coming out is you know what, like I ask my fighters all the time, why are you doing this? What's your why? And I would ask people in life, what is your why? Because when you think about that, you're like, sometimes you don't know the answer. So sit on that and figure out what your why is. Even fighters, I say, why are you doing this? And they look at me and kind of look at me and, cool, you don't need to answer that right now. I want you to go reflect, take days, I don't care, but figure out why you're doing this. So once we get on that same page, I know their why. So you know what makes them tick. And so if we got to go get in their shit a little bit, it's going to be about their why. Because it's like you're losing sight of why you're doing this. And a lot of times it's the potentially a fear component. It's a fear of not wanting to lose or failure or those kind of things. You know, when you start seeing fighters get outcome-based mindsets inside the cage, you can see it. You're like, uh-oh, we're thinking about not destroying or winning. We're thinking about how not to lose. That's an outcome-based thing. And so, right. And knowing these guys well, it's hard for the public to know what's going on in there. They don't know my fighters why. They don't know their habits and how they react when things get tough and what happened in their life and the resilience that they've had to have because of all that stuff.
Or
and
maybe they're going in compromised, right?
Compromises happens a lot. And so, okay, well, what's your why? And so we need to know that. And we need to have those vulnerable discussions throughout our relationship, which creates a lot of vulnerability on both sides. And then we need to, because the hype up conversation only works when it's natural and not forced. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Have you ever tried to be like, I just want to get hyped, and you can't find it. It's because it's forced. It's not really natural, And so that's what I mean is it has to be natural. It has to be organic. It has to be coming from the right spot. It's not for the win. It's for all the sacrifice that I've seen you go through to get to this point, and you've put it all on the line. So let's stop worrying about the outcome. Who cares about the outcome? Because we don't control the outcome ever. And so, and people, even your listeners might be like, "What? What outcome do you control? Explain one to me." You don't. You control three things, in my opinion. You control your attitude, you control your gratitude, and you control your effort. Other than that, what do you control today? Because I walk out here and get hit by a truck on the road. That was out of my control. I get in the cage and the kid was just better than me that night. That was out of my control. Did you do the preparation that it required to go execute and chase the goal or the dream or whatever you're after? Did you do that? You can control that, but it's got to happen with three things. What's your attitude like? Are you giving gratitude back? What's your effort like? So that's why I always tell the guys, go give max effort. And stop worrying about everyone else, including me. Go impress yourself. If you impress yourself, I don't care if you won or lost, but if you impress yourself, everybody else around you will be impressed. And now look, that is not just for the cage.
Right.
It isn't, because take life.
Everything.
It's for everything. Like when you did what you did today, or hopefully if God graces us tomorrow and we wake up, if you gave your max effort in what you did that day, in preparation for what you're trying to accomplish, and you didn't accomplish it, could you still be impressed with yourself? I would say yes. Some people would say no because I failed. And I would say to you, you haven't failed enough yet to learn that failure is how you become amazing and great. And so, and I don't want anyone.
It's another scar, right? Like you said.
It's a fact. Yeah. And I don't want anyone to fail, to be honest with you. I wish life came without failure. I wish it was so easy and we just did the thing and failure was very few and far between. But it's not. It's actually the other way around. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think about it like if you think about it on a mixed martial arts journey, if you think about it as a CEO, if you think about it as a parent, if you think about it as a spouse, whatever, the bottom line is think about all that stuff that you've had to accumulate and do to get to where you're at today. And if you're in a shitty spot, because this is another thing that I've noticed on all the stuff that I've posted online, is I get a lot of responses back from people saying, hey, I'm in a tough spot right now. And this gave me a mindset, or this gave me the discipline, or this gave me the trust, or the execution, whatever it was, the whatever 4 pillars it was. Mm-hmm. This gave me that thought to be like, man, I could do that with this. And so it's like, okay, cool. But now will you have the consistency to go do that? Because that's the hardest part. Because like I said, the discipline of it is tough. And so when I'm speaking about all that stuff, I see that in life, man, all the time. I do. When people respond and say, hey, coach, I'm in a bad spot, right? The vulnerability of people saying that always blows my mind kind of. Because I'm like, damn, They don't even know me, But they're being vulnerable, and I respect the hell out of that. I'm like, wow, that's really cool, because they have put ego aside and saying, I don't care if I personally know you, but man, I respect you enough to say I'm struggling with this. This is helping me, and I just appreciate you doing that. Keep doing that because it's helping me get out of this. That makes it all worth it. That's life. That's why I say cage is a classroom, because that's what it's been.
Everything's a classroom, man.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's that moment in the corner is all of that stuff encompassing. And it's wild because you get 50 seconds to do it.
Right.
And you got a lot of distractions. You got the corner man, you got the camera, you got the commission, you got people trying to interrupt you, and all kinds of, the fighter, you got all kinds of stuff.
It is happening. A wild environment.
It's a wild deal.
It is wild.
Yeah, it's a wild deal.
It's almost too wild for me.
It's
wild. I'd rather watch it on my couch, dude.
Me too.
like,
Sometimes I'm like, when I'm not traveling to a fight and I'm just watching the fights with my wife. Sometimes I'm just like,
oh my God,
I'm just gonna enjoy the actual fights today.
And you know what? That'll make you appreciate it more than anything. There's nothing, because I've worked on so many Super Bowl halftimes. Like I did it consecutively for like close to 12 years. I think it was 11 years, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Man, the first time I sat down to like, I'm home on Super Bowl Sunday and just going to watch the Super Bowl.
Sigh of relief, right?
Yeah, no stress involved.
I know.
Nothing.
I know.
I was like, this is amazing.
I know. And the stress is part of it too, right? And it's something, as long as you still have the aptitude to keep that challenge just in front of you, cool. It's when you lose the appetite for it.
You get complacent?
Well, just you lose the appetite for it is when you should move on. Does that make sense? Whether it's you as a fighter or you as a CEO or you as a coach or whatever. And you know, what I've learned, Bobby, is I've always been labeled coach, but what I've learned is I'm more of a teacher than a coach. And my role that I've embraced is I've been more of a teacher than I have been a coach. Does that make sense? The coach is the term that gets thrown around for what I do, I guess. But the teacher is very in depth and the life piece. That's where the life piece comes. And
you guys have such a culture at Factory X.
Yeah.
Like it's more of a culture. It's more of a community. You could even call it a family.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's really cool, man, the way that it's bled over even into the podcast, right? Like, because I've had so many guys in.
Yeah.
And I can't think of one of those guys that I dislike.
Yeah.
There's not one of them, man. Like, I love all those guys.
And
like,
you've had fighters that I used to train that don't train with me anymore that are still good kids as well. You know,
and it crosses over, man. Like, it's really cool. I think that's hard to find these days, man. It really is. And I think the only way that you can do it is you have to face adversity in something almost to build bonds.
Yeah.
And not everything. Like, you don't need adversity to have a friendship. But if you want tighter friendships, I mean, this is why corporations are doing like these team building things where they go and do like a rope access or what do they call that? Like a zip line thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, because those little going through something with somebody, it builds stronger friendships, bonds, all those sort of cliche things that we talk about. But I think more importantly is you're proving yourself to each other. Like, how is this person going to react in a hard situation? Are they going to be there for me or are they not? Like, those sort of things are wild. And I don't think you can face on a sports level any more adversity than a loss, right? Like,
losses are hard.
How you go through that, and just the little taste that I've gotten from knowing these guys or whatever. Like, I feel some of that pain, so I can't imagine what it feels like to be even closer or there or be them. You know?
Well, right, and then every time they lose, they're essentially, especially right after, they feel like their dream was snatched from them. Mm-hmm. Because as you know, winning creates traction. Yeah. In the sense of the ranks of what they do inside of the UFC. But
not only that, all the momentum and the hype and all that stuff.
But it doesn't always build traction in life, I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people think like the winning thing is the ultimate thing. And I'll tell you what, me as a coach winning and my fighters winning sometimes is harder than it is losing sometimes.
Really?
It's pretty lonely winning. I'll be honest with you. Because, your phone blows up more. Mm-hmm. When you lose, you get 5 people that text you. Those are kind of your homies.
Right.
And probably my wife, right? Well, not probably, of course, my wife. But the point is that you get 5 people that text you pretty consistently. Right? And, for me, every time we lose, my wife will text me. Sean Johnson, who's the head pastor at Red Rocks Church, great friend of mine, will text me. My good friend, Jimmy Dreiling, who I grew up with, will text me, and my 2 kids. Those 5 people consistently text me, win or lose. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's not that the other people that don't or do are less important. That's not my point. My point is you get 5 people that text you when you lose. You scroll your phone when you win. You can't stop. Like everyone's like, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man. Well, what happens is the loneliness of winning happens because of your expectation. Does that make sense? So I'll give you an example. Back in the day, Joe Warren was one of my fighters. He fought for Bellator. Joe Warren is the last American to win in Greco in the Olympics.
Really?
Yeah. So he is a 2-time Greco Olympic world champion. He's our last American to ever win that.
No way.
Yes. Okay.
What year was that?
So I don't remember when Joe won that, but Joe was one of my fighters, and he fought for Bellator, and he, at the time, it's cool now, but at the time, Joe was one of the first to have a 45-pound belt and a 35-pound belt.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Before it was cool. All right. People don't remember Joe because, or I'm not saying they don't remember him, but he's older now, and his career is past, and so it's wild. Like anything, you could be the man for a while, and then they forget you. That's why I tell the guys, don't take for granted this walkout. It doesn't happen forever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. So Joe Warren, and what I mean about winning, being lonely and winning. So Joe Warren is fighting for the world title, first world title I ever, and I was early on as a coach. Okay, early in my coaching career, he's fighting for the world title in Bellator. And I remember just the preparation for the fight. You know, we got after it and did our best and the whole thing. But I remember in the corner, or excuse me, in the locker room before we got to the fight, how nervous I was. Okay, because my expectation of wanting to win this title were so huge. Okay, like this is my first world title as a coach.
Right.
I'm young as a coach. I got this badass in Joe Warren and who he is, and I want to do him right. You know what I mean? And I want to see him go win this world title that he's after. I'm after. All these expectations you put in front of you when you go win this fight or win this title or this next contract or whatever it is. Okay. So I just remember we worked hard in camp. Okay. And then we go. Joe wins the world title, okay? And we were in Oklahoma, and Thackerville, Oklahoma, which is an hour and a half drive from Dallas. You have to fly into Dallas, drive an hour and a half. It's at an Indian casino.
If you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell.
So we're in Thackerville, Oklahoma. We win this title. An hour and a half of mayhem after the fight. Interviews, you guys are the man, the whole thing, right? We did it. The expectation was met, all these things, okay? One of the most lonely times in my entire life was when I got back to my hotel room. Now think about this. My whole intention for the entire camp was to win this fight. If we win this fight, it solves all problems. We're the champs. We're the best in the world, one of, et cetera, all these things, right? I'm an amazing coach. Isn't that what that means? Like all these things,
First
right?
check mark.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So you're like massive expectation to win, okay? Hour and a half later, I get into my hotel room. The sea of just black filled. I'm looking out in my hotel room. I'm by myself. And I remember saying out loud, that's it? This is it? That's all? Like, this is the world? That's it? This is like, where is the thing that I had in my head about the win? It's over. All the hoopla and the hype, and
It ended in an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. It was 90 minutes of hoopla, and then I was sitting and looking at my reflection in a dark window in Thackerville, Oklahoma, a sea of planes out there, black sea of planes, and I'm sitting there going, "That's it." And you know what I learned early in my career, thankfully and luckily, is that, yeah, dumbass, what you focused on was the outcome instead of being present where your feet were. And if you had been present where your feet were along every training session, the trials, the tribulations, when you get to the next title, yeah, the outcome's cool. And if you lose, it's whatever. We gave our max effort. We'll have to do a better job next time. And I don't mean it that lightly, but ultimately that's what it is. And so, but what you remember is you don't remember all of that stuff. What you remember is you remember the day in, day out stuff. You remember the walkout before it goes blurry in the cage and you barely remember like little snippets of what happened as the fighter in the cage, right? Mm-hmm. So I learned early on in my career, like, if you're going to go put so much weight on an outcome and you don't enjoy the process, you're missing the whole boat. You've missed the whole boat, because in 90 minutes, you're going to be lonely and miserable after you landed the contract that you thought you wanted that was going to make you $1 million, but you didn't enjoy the process to get there. Mm-hmm. After you married the woman of your dreams, but you don't enjoy the process while you're with her. It was just about the wedding. Like those things, like if you get, that's what I mean by the winning is really lonely if you don't get present where your feet are. And so I had to learn early, like, okay, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to require my fighter to work hard, and they're going to do it too because they're champions like that. And so, but the day in, day out, I really need to enjoy. I need to enjoy it. And so when we went and fought for another title later, I really enjoyed the process. And it was way more fun and we won it. And I lost world titles with him too, by the way.
Because it kind of calms your nerves too, right? At the same time.
A little bit.
Yeah, because you are focused and you're intentionally focused on the moments.
Yep.
Of being there, being at the big dance, being at all those sort of things. And you're not worried about the outcome then.
Agree. Totally agree. And and the cool part is I've been able to impart that from my own failure of that, again, to life, to the people around me, and say, hey, I'm 50. If you want to wait until, I say this to my kids and the fighters all the time, if you want to wait until you're 50 and learn it the hard way, go ahead, because that's what I've done, right? Or you listen to me for 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever the discussion time is, and you learn 50 years of knowledge in a 20-minute conversation, and you go, I don't have to learn it the hard way. I just imparted here, and I'm done. Thanks for the wisdom, and I take it. And then at 50, you're light years ahead of me.
It's so huge, man.
It's huge.
It's so huge.
And that's the whole point of
I wish I would have listened more when I was younger.
Same. Or, like in my sport, I'm more on the trailblazing end of coaching. Mm-hmm. No one's above me, really. Greg Jackson came before me. Trevor Whitman a little bit before me. There's a few people, but I'm on that like trailblazing end where we didn't have. It's not like now where you can go to all those people, including me, if you were a young coach,
right?
And go, hey, will you be my mentor and show me how to do this, and walk me through what you've learned in 20, 30 years of doing this. And then in 5 years, those coaches are better than you. And they should be.
Because they have all of your knowledge. Man.
Yes.
Like, I think
and they have to learn it the hard way.
Man, it's so key. And I think to take it back full circle, what I was talking about at the beginning is just what that takes is just listening, man. Like, that's what I have figured out, like, sitting in here is just listen sometimes, man. And really listen. Not think about what you're going to say next. Not worry about, do I look good on camera? Like all the distractions, even with a podcast, right? But get out of your own way and just listen, man. Like,
well,
it's
and Bobby,
so huge.
That goes back to what you were saying earlier about the faith.
Mm-hmm.
That Bible's been written for you to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, that's ultimately what it's about, if you think about it. But the problem is that when we go read the Bible, it can be boring. You don't want to hear about...
It's hard to comprehend. Maybe I'm not a very smart guy, but it is very, very hard to comprehend too.
But Bobby, it wasn't meant for you to just comprehend. It was meant for you to go read and listen.
Yeah.
You don't have to comprehend all of it. I don't think I can't comprehend all of it.
Well,
and you're not a dumb guy. I'm not a dumb guy.
I think also though it's perspective.
Agree.
A huge.
But what about guided? What about guided perspective?
That's big too.
That's what I just said about. Let me tell you what I've learned in 50 years. You absorb in 20 minutes and not have to live 50 years.
Yeah,
that's the whole point. Like, and it's like, oh, hey, the answer's here. Yeah, it's not all Gatorade commercial fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's boring discipline fun. But if you go do the boring discipline daily and have guided intention, guided listening, then you get there faster. And it's like, and listen, bro, I've had to be knocked over the head. I'm a knucklehead. I've had to be knocked over the head to start to get that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I have that figured out. I don't.
Well, what do you think is the biggest common thing to get to that point? Because for me, one of them is ego.
Yeah.
Like one of them is ego, is just shutting that down. And I've never, how do I want to say this? Putting yourself in a room with people that are bigger than you helps that.
Yeah.
I think put it in check.
I'll say this to you. When you remove ego, this is what I've learned. Because I've had to do this and repeat this to myself a lot. This is why I can say this to you confidently. When you remove ego, you insert humility. And when you have humility, you know what you're after, what I'm after? Clarity. So like, let me say that again. Because I've said this to myself so many times because I have an ego. When you remove your ego, you insert humility. And what are you after, Mark? I'm after clarity. And that's the thing, is it's like, I'm after clarity. That's what I want. I just want clarity.
Because it's genuine honesty, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
you're being honest with yourself at the same time.
And you're seeking.
Right.
You're seeking. And so you're open enough to seek and to learn. Okay, give me clarity. Now, does that come instantly? No, because nothing is easy. No. But if you open the door, then you have at least opened the door to find clarity. But if you have ego blocking the door, it never opens.
Yeah.
And then
same with faith. You got to look for it, right? Like
you have to
be aware that it's in front of you.
Right. Fact. And so, and that's the thing is, and again, I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm only preaching to myself.
Yeah, I'm not either, man.
Because
like,
I'm just telling you what I've had to do because of my insecurities and my failures and my path to get to where I'm at is remove my ego, insert the humility, find the clarity. And that's the thing is I'm like, okay, when I was sitting on in the bed when I had cancer, you want to talk about perspective. And you know, some people that I consistently don't have in my life now, when I had cancer, okay, some people said to me, Coach, you have changed. And excuse my language, but fuck yeah, I changed. How did I not? I had perspective, a perspective shift. Bobby, I literally sat in a bed thinking I had a staph infection, and they told me you have cancer. And you were lucky because we caught this at a stage 2. In 16 more months, if we didn't catch this thing, it was going to be terminal and you were going to have 6 months to live. 16 months, okay? You know what that does to perspective? And when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I know why this happened. Because I'm a knucklehead and God has to break me in deep water. And so that's what it is. And I'm not saying he gave me cancer. That's not what I believe. I'm just saying he gave me the perspective in the cancer battle to say, hey, man, you going to keep doing the same thing or you're going to get in the chaos and grow? Because where I'm going to take you to the becoming, I'm going to build you, I'm going to break you, I'm going to build you, I'm going to become, you're going to become. Where I'm going to take you, you're going to need to get rid of the ego, insert the humility, find the clarity. Are you on board or not? Yeah, perspective changes when you're sitting there going, shit, I might die. I didn't know if I was going to live.
Plus, people show them their true selves in adversity like that.
Yeah.
Like it could have been a faith test too. Or they probably go hand in hand.
No, they're hand in hand. Yeah. And you change from that. Mm-hmm. You do. You change from good and dramatic things. You just change from those things.
Because you can go both ways. You can make your faith stronger, or you could turn around and curse it.
Correct. Or I can say, why is this happening to me? And do that thing, or the world's against me, or whatever happens on that side. Mm-hmm. That's ego.
Right.
That's ego. Or I'm the best ever and no one's ever better than me. That's ego.
Or that I can't catch a break.
I can't catch a break. That's ego.
Right.
So insert humility. Be humble, but be hungry. Mm-hmm. Still be hungry. I'm not saying you're just humble only. Still be hungry. And then you will seek the clarity, right? And so, perspective changes when you have life-changing, altering things that happen to you. Cancer is one of those, and I can only speak on that because I had it. Yeah. And I had to go through that fight. And I'll tell you a story that just recently happened is, just recently I hit my 3-year mark, thank God, of being cancer-free.
Dude, okay? I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I just recently hit my 3-year mark. Bobby, for 2.5 years, bro, physically, I have been grinding, struggling, okay, to get back to normal, right? Mm-hmm. And in my career, in what I do, my physical ability is everything, right? Yeah. And so I wasn't sleeping right, I wasn't eating right, and Bobby, it didn't take 2 months, it didn't take a year, it took me 2.5 years to feel like I'm getting back, okay? Like a month ago, it hit like the 3-year mark. And I remember waking up, my wife telling me, it's been 3 years since you have been cancer-free. And I was like, oh, that's dope. And it was on a Friday, okay? Well, my team spars on Fridays. So I decided in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm finally feeling good enough physically to where I'm not going to tell them, but I'm going to spar with them all the rounds that I asked them to do, okay? And so I showed up to the gym. And I was getting stretched, and everyone's looking at me because I don't normally stretch before sparring because I'm just coaching. Right. Okay, but I'm getting stretched. I'm doing the thing. I'm locking in.
So they haven't seen this for at least 3 years.
And some of these kids have never seen me, never sparred with me because they're new. And I was like, and then I was putting my gear on, and then they're starting to look around like, are you going to spar? And I was like, yeah. And I'm going to do all 13 rounds with you guys, right? 13 rounds is a lot, bro.
That's a shit ton.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what these guys do. And if they're in camp, that's a little different. But the point is they're doing about 13 rounds in sparring. Okay. And you know, Toby Keith says you're as good once as you ever was. Yeah. Okay. Here's the funny part about this story. Proudly, I was able to finish 13 rounds of sparring with those guys. Okay. You could pat yourself on the back. But I told my fighters, and I got kind of emotional. I was like, today marks 3 years of me being cancer-free. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to do that again. Because physically, I just could not recover like I used to. And I didn't know if I could ever spar like that again. And I'm not trying to act like I went out there and just killed it, right? But I did a great job. I finished it all. I went with the UFC guys. I went with the younger guys. I had fun, man, is the point. And I was able to do something that I didn't know if I was going to ever be able to do again, okay? Here's the funny part about this story. I was good once as I ever was is true because it took me a week to recover from that shit, bro. I was like, oh, guess what, dumbass?
Oh, shit, where's that cane at?
50, you're 50, and it's going to take you a week to recover. Oh, but the point is I'm like, that's a blessing. Mm-hmm. That's humility, man. You want to talk about being humbled? Because that's my job, is to physically go out there and do those things, right? And for that to be taken away from me, even though I desperately wanted it, to have the discipline to just stay in it and keep doing the strength conditioning and keep training when I could and stop when I couldn't. And even though my ego kept being like, you're such a pussy, what are you doing? Like, that's not who you are. Like, but to have the humility to do that, to then eventually let the boring ass discipline catch up after 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then go do it. Now, can I do that every week like they do? No, I can't, unfortunately. I'm too old for that shit now. I just don't recover like that.
Right.
But the point is, I can do it again. That, to me, is the being present where your feet are, enjoy the journey, to give two shits about the outcome, and you've done it, and you did it, and you could do it again if you needed to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And
it gets easier.
It does get easier. It's easier. I
mean, I hate
recover
to
better.
say that, but I'll never forget like the first time in my industry in rock and roll and live production. I'll never forget the first time I had to stay up for 24 hours straight.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I was thinking that I was a young kid. You know, I was like, there's no way I'm going to live through this. You know?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I lived through it. And then the next thing you know, like it's all right. If I don't sleep for 24 hours, like I'm good.
You're not going to die.
I can do it. Yeah.
You're not going to die. Yeah. The resilience you created mentally was essentially a scar, because the first time was a scar.
Yes.
But you can look back at the scar and be like, I survived, and I know I can do it.
I remember that first time, but I don't remember any times in between, and I don't remember the last time I had to.
Yeah, because you know you can do it. You know?
Thank God I don't have to do that anymore. So bad for you.
Exactly. Those are tough. Those are tough. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I mean about the ego, the humility, and the clarity. Like that's a good personal example of how much failure I've had to have to learn all that stuff to then find. And I'm not saying like everything's clear in life. It's not. But
No.
to find some clarity of purpose, right? And so, and that's, I think, why we do everything. At least me, it has to be purposefully worth it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because some people chase money.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Some people chase money, and I've done that before.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always found that if it doesn't have purpose, I'm not going to stay interested.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's before we even hit record when we were out here in the lobby and I was telling you what I got going on.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Man.
Yeah.
It's not about money. This isn't about money. It's about sitting down with Mark and having a conversation.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Which is so rad.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate and blessed with all the people that have sat in here, with you being at the top of that list, man. Like, and not only like not taking it for granted either, man. Like 3 years ago, that could have been a completely different outcome, right? It's huge, man. And like one thing that this podcast or this show or the Mountainside has made me realize is how prevalent it is, man. Like there's so many guests, whether they've been a guest and then been diagnosed with cancer later on, or maybe they've had cancer in their past, or maybe they're still dealing with it, man. It is wild. And then you start thinking about the family members that you've had that have dealt with it. Like everybody knows somebody that's had to deal with cancer in some sort of form or fashion.
It doesn't even feel real. Like it's weird.
Not always like you said, most of those stories are not remission stories or winning stories, right?
That's tough.
Man, so I'm just glad you're here, brother. Like,
me too.
Thank God you're
Me
here,
too.
man, because I think, you know, you're such a positive light to so many people, but me, for sure.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I'm humbled and honored by your words, and it means a lot to me for you to say that. And you know, I would say this to you that I remember when I was in bed in the hospital and had the cancer, that I said to my wife, I said, it's weird because I have this real peace about me, not because I've done life right, perfectly, I mean, but because if it's God's will to take me, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, then I know he's got more work for me to do here. So I have peace either way, which is why it was easy for me to say I'm getting on that plane, even though the experts were telling me I shouldn't. And I said, I'm getting on the plane, babe, find me a dope cane on Amazon or wherever you need to find it, because I can't walk on my own right now. But that's why I did that, because I was like, I have peace. And if I die on the plane, then I die on the plane. And I'll do what they tell me to do. I'm not going to be an idiot. I needed to get up every 30 minutes and walk around with my cane and make sure I had circulation and not form a blood clot after surgery.
Not to mention this was like during the whole COVID era. And all
it was it was post that, but right around there.
Yeah. I mean, it was close.
Barely. Yeah. And so exactly. And so, but again, the reason I did that is because I just had peace. And again, go back to the beginning of our conversation. I don't have peace unless I have faith in something other than me. Because it's not, if it's just about me, that's ego.
Right.
And how do you do this when it's just about you? I don't know. It's tough. And how do you find peace? I don't know. For me, that's tough. And so, and when I see these messages and when I see these organizations or churches or teams ask me to come speak, I feel really blessed because I'm like, I just want to speak truth to you guys and give you, and hope that you find purpose and hope you find clarity and hope that you're willing to go into those dark caves where you have the fear, because where that fear is where your answers are. And so, it's not fear that should stop you, And so, and that's why I feel blessed when I get those opportunities. That's why I'm going to seek more of those opportunities in the future. That's why I'm going to write a book. That's why I'm going to keep coaching fighters and essentially just continuing my growth journey, because God has put me on this earth to lead, and I take that seriously, and I want to do the best job I can, not by saying, but by doing, and then being able to go articulate all the trials it's taken to even get that clarity to go regurgitate.
Plus, I think there's a little gem in there too. Like, in you doing that, you'll figure out some stuff about yourself.
Yeah,
like sometimes
for sure.
The best way for me to figure out things or figure out my perspective is to talk to somebody out loud and listen to myself and have to articulate what's going on in this crazy mind of mine, right? And try to get it out. And I'm like, oh, I figured it out because I had to explain it to somebody. Like, I think that's super helpful too.
That's why I have my fighters coach, because when you have to go coach something,
right,
it requires you to learn it. And if you don't know how to show it and articulate it, how are you going to coach it? So you got to actually go learn it really in depth, and it increases their knowledge, their IQ. It increases their abilities as a fighter, and then everything has to stem culturally, at least where I'm at in my gym, from first giving back. Because that's what the culture needs to, one of the foundational pieces has to be not selfish, selfless. And so coaching is selfless. Fighters have to
help
be
the tribe, right? You gotta be a useful member of the tribe.
Fact. Yeah. And so to be selfless is giving back. And so that has to be a foundational piece. And in turn, what they don't know right away is that the giving back actually comes back to you, rebounds back to you, and increases your abilities personally, because now you've increased your knowledge, you've increased your IQ, you've increased your depth of the subject.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine that they can probably then be coached easier because they know. I mean, they know you have more when you're in the heat of it. You can receive what your coaches are giving a bit more, probably.
Yeah, because you understand the code
more. Yeah,
like in computer you have code. You speak the same language, so you're like, we're speaking the same language now, and people have had to trust you when you've said it, and sometimes when you have to do it back, it's harder.
Right. It's a lot harder, man.
Right, for all of us, and me included. But when your expectation is that, and then you consistently do that, and you see that response from people, because when you speak to someone, ultimately you're looking for response. That's what you're looking for,
right?
Especially when someone comes to you and seeks counsel. If you're going to give counsel, you're hoping for a response, not like a verbal response back, but like you've taken in the knowledge, you've taken in the IQ, and then action is going to happen. The action's the response. Or have you ever had a conversation, because I know I have, where you spent time, hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, and you had a real in-depth conversation, and then moments later, a week later, they're still doing the same shit that you just talked about, and you're like, dang.
Yeah, some people can't get out of their own way, or I think you just get stuck in those ruts, man, where it's just like go, 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 go. I think like your coach's corner, that's why it's so helpful to so many people, is to take that time and really assess what you're doing. And, a lot of times we might only do that once a year, if that, right? At New Year's, right? And I think one of the principles that I've adopted from you is, that single word is as opposed to a resolution. I know you just did a post on that, but like I've done that a lot. And honestly, I've kept the same word for the last few years, and it's really just kept me grounded. And that word is intention.
Oh, nice.
It's just like, if you add intention to everything that you do, you're only going to make it better, or you're only going to appreciate it more. And those around you are as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. The guys reminded me that have been around for a while said, Coach, this is our 7th year of doing our word of the year. This year, 26 March.
I love this year's word, by the way.
Yeah, anchored is my word.
Huge.
Yeah. And so, for me, like anchored means that I'm grounded and I'm unmoved. I'm firm in foundation, faithful, and lastly, just stable in the storms. Those are the things that, for me, that's what it means to be anchored, and so I read that in a book.
It means the same thing to me. That's why I have this where it's at.
I love it. Yeah. And I read it in a book 7 years ago. John Gordon wrote a book that I read, and he said, instead of New Year's resolutions, I tried a word of the year, and it's worked well. And New Year's resolutions for me have never really worked well because they seem action-based.
That they really work for.
They just seem real action-based, and it's not that I'm not disciplined. It's that drift happens. Does that make sense for me? Drift will happen. And so to sustain those, but to sustain a word has been super helpful and easy in the sense that the word for me is when times are tough, go to it. When times are good, go to it. And when it starts to feel like it's tarnishing a little bit, go re-highlight it. Does that make sense? And so I have the guys write it in our gym. I have them write it on the one of the we have 2 columns in the gym that are in the middle of the mat that hold the building up. And so we have padding around that.
That's freaking awesome.
And so I have them go take a Sharpie, and it's funny because the symbolism between life and fighting is pretty funny, because what'll happen is you go take a permanent marker that's not supposed to fade, right? But because of all the work that happens in the gym, sweaty bodies get on the pads on those poles, and they eventually start to rub the permanent marker off of there, so it starts to tarnish. Well, isn't that symbolism, right?
Yeah.
And so what I remind the guys is, when you start seeing your word tarnish on that pole, go rewrite it so that you bring it back to light. And if it's happening in life, do the same thing, right? And so the symbolism of that is interesting. And guys have, some guys have 7 words up there because they've been doing that for 7 years. And so they're looking at their words and going, damn, that year it really mattered. That year it really mattered. This year, this is going to really matter. And they adopt that stuff. And it, like I said, it's not about just the action. It's about the when it's good, when life's good, bad, or indifferent, you're still, for me, anchored by that. And I'm going to stay grounded, and I'm going to stay unmoved, and you know what I mean? I'm going to stay faithful and firm, and I'm going to stay stable in the storm and the whole thing. And so it's like, okay, make it mean something, and then let's go create this thing and use it as stable foundation as we go through our year, and when isn't it funny that when the calendar flips, it's like something new is happening? It's funny.
It's the part that, because I'm not a woo-woo guy.
Yeah, same.
I never have been. I've never understood it, or it's lit a fire under my ass, I guess, to like, damn, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. That's what it does for me. But some people view it as like a fresh start. Like,
sure. Which, if that's what it is for you and it's going to fire you up,
yeah,
rip. Let it rip. But you know what I've noticed, Bobby, from me over the years is I've used the end of the year to create reflection, which I was never good at before. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I was good at it before I had cancer, to be honest with you. But once I was diagnosed with cancer and then had it removed and it's been free for 3 years, it's the reflection piece that is really one of many, but one of the lessons that I was taught from sitting in that bed not knowing if I was going to live again, is reflect on 25. What was it? Like, what were the good parts? Mm-hmm. What were the tough parts? What would you do better from 25 and 26? And it's where I find my words, is when I have the reflection. And then it helps me go find my New Year's word of the year, And so, and I think it's cool to have, tradition is fun. Tradition is cool, man.
Yeah, that is cool. Tradition's amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah. And it's also culture. Yeah. And the guys that told me I lost sight of 7. I have them on my phone, but I guess I just didn't count them in my notes, And they're like, Coach, this is the 7th year. I was like, wow, is it really?
That's cool.
Yeah, I feel like I just read that book like a year or two ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'll make you, that reflection will let you realize how fast time goes, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, man, I'm taking in this book now because I'm in this faith journey. I'm going to get really vulnerable here. In this faith journey, I've had to figure out, like, how do I pray? Like, where, and it's led me down these paths to some different things that have just kind of fallen in my lap. And one of them is a book, When Praying Gets Real. Look that up real quick. Make sure I got that right.
What was it called again?
When Prayer Gets Real. Yeah, this is it.
Love it.
Who's the authors? See if you can find that real quick.
By Kyle Strobel. Oh, yeah.
Kyle Strobel.
Nice.
Yep. And John Cole. So one of the chapters in this book, when you get involved with prayer, there's certain ways, and it's not a Catholic thing, it's not a whatever. It says in the Bible there's certain ways to pray, right? Okay. Like how you introduction to prayer, what you think about, and a lot of people can turn that into guilt, maybe because they're reflecting on whatever sins they've had in their lifetime and all this sort of stuff. So this has been a great guide for me to kind of try to figure some of that out. It came to me at like the most perfect time.
Love it.
But one of the coolest things in this book is one word, and it's been my one word for the last, I think it's going on 3 years, is intention.
Uh-huh.
And there's an intentional chapter in there.
Cool.
That basically in that prayer, you're just waking up. First thing you do when you wake up is just intentionally be with God. Don't ask him for anything. Don't pray for anything in particular. Just, that he's present, or not present. That he's present. He's there. Be with him. Intentionally just be with him. That's it. Don't ask for it. None of that. And it's crazy because going back to a single word like that, like all I need to hear is intention. Mm-hmm. And that first word when I wake up, or whether your word is anchor or whatever. And it's just a good, like, hard reset to like slow down your brain and everything. And it's almost like a little reset in the system is what I've found. Because I've only adopted this in the last, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about it now, but maybe in the last month, man. And it has been like a game changer just for me mentally, not even on the faith side of things. But just in everyday life, if I start getting caught up or my emotions, I start getting mad about something or something doesn't go exactly the way I want it to, or maybe something really good happens. And I think that was kind of the point in this chapter of the book, was to, whether it's good or bad, you should go back to that word.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's huge, man.
There's so many. One of the benefits with having, just the quick access to what we have on the internet is that you can go find so many instructionals like you're seeking to go. How do I pray? Like it's a great question, and so. And it's cool to hear that you're doing that, because you're not the only one that's ever. I think the vulnerability of you having that opens such a big door for people, because, and especially as men, like being vulnerable always feels weak, and it shouldn't. There's some vulnerability that creates growth, and what you just said is going to create growth, because you're going to inspire people to go. Say, I've thought about the same thing, and I want to know. I want some answers to that, because I'd like to do that, or have a guide of how to do that. And so, Scripture is also a way to do that, and there's so many ways to read Scripture, and the Bible app,
Man, there's so much stuff out there.
So it's good because it'll bounce around for you, and it won't keep you only in the Old Testament. You could read from Genesis to Revelation if you want. But it'll also, like Bible apps or other apps, will give you the ability to, let's say, read Genesis, and then you read Proverbs, and then you read Revelations all in the same sitting. And then you compile that throughout the year, and then you've read the whole Bible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you're getting a mix of the word, and so there's ways to do that too. And then, like you said, just sitting present is just the key in most things. Is just to be present. Like you're saying, hey, I intentionally wake up and I get present, and that's how I'm starting my day. And I think that's amazing, bro. Like that there is a great foundation of how you do that, and then you get intentional, you get more intentional with prayer and Scripture and time and communication, and then, like I said earlier, you seek me, you will find me, and it starts to, and it happens,
The craziest part about that was I didn't intentionally go search for that. Like, it just happened to fall in my lap, not from a recommendation, not from an algorithm.
Well, I'll tell you.
But I'm telling you, it wasn't just by happenstance.
No, it's divine intervention.
Yeah, it really is. Man.
It's you saying, I want this, and him going, well, I got to get your attention some way, and then it happens. I'll tell you a funny story about that. So, when I get on YouTube, I typically look at fighting, of course, golf, hunting, some fly fishing. That's kind of the, let's say, main four. Does that make sense? And usually when I get on there, it's either for research for what I do, fighting, or just downtime. Like, that's how essentially sometimes I go to bed, is just I'll watch a little bit of like YouTube golf, or watch some hunting or fishing, whatever. So your algorithm gets built, and all those thumbnails come up, and it's typically those four things, right? And that's what happens. So one night, or let me back up. So when I had cancer, but prior to that but it got real bad when I had cancer, but prior to when I had cancer, I would consistently wake up around 3-ish, 3:30, constantly wake up. And then I couldn't get back to bed because my brain would start racing, and I'd start thinking about what I have to do and the problems and the things and the whole thing. And people that are like me are like, yep, that's me, you know? And so, and then I would be up and I'd have shitty sleep, and then I'd have to take on an entire day with shitty sleep. And I would do that consistently over and over and over and over and over. And I did that, okay? I had cancer. It got really bad because sleeping and eating and all that stuff was just not really happening much. And I'd wander and I'd get so mad. Like, I just want to go back to sleep. I need to sleep. And if I don't sleep.
Like, you need sleep,
yes,
but you can't do it.
I can't do it. Okay. And then I would just be up and I'd just wander around the house. We have a net in the basement. My wife and Wyatt in Brooklyn, they'll talk shit and say, I'd get up and we have this net, like golf hitting net.
You'd be down there
at like 3:30 just hitting balls. And they're like, what were you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't go to sleep. So anyway, but my point is I'd be upset because I couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. So I'm on YouTube and I'm getting ready to just have some downtime. And out of nowhere, this thumbnail comes up, and it's like got C.S. Lewis on it, and it says, "If you wake up at 3:30 in the morning, you should watch this." And I look at it, and I was like, "What?" And I'm like, I have to click on this thing. And so I click on that YouTube video, and the essential premise is, if you're waking up at 3:30 in the morning, like this premise that it was talking about is that's the one time in your life that you're not distracted anymore. And that's, why don't you have time with God then? Because you're not distracted anymore. Mm-hmm. And potentially you can have a relationship there. And if you'd pray there, you'd probably find peace and you go back to sleep. And you could pray over others as well while you're doing this, instead of thinking about all the problems you have coming up and that you need to sleep and being angry that you're not sleeping, like I was doing for years. And so I watched this video and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing that. And that video like gave me goosebumps because I was watching it and I was like, wow. So you have been, meaning God has been calling me for years saying, hey, you want to have a relationship with me when it's not chaotic anymore? And since life's so chaotic and busy and all these things are happening, this is our time that you and I could share together.
Hey, Mark, wake up.
Hey, dumbass. And so you know what happened, Bobby? As I started getting intentional in prayer, like your word, mm-hmm. when I'd wake up and I'd be like, so it's funny because I still, this happens to me a lot, okay? And I would go, it just happened to me 2 nights ago. At 3:30, it's funny now, I chuckle. I go, good morning, God, or whatever this is right now. And I start having prayer, and I pray over others. And bro, you know what'll happen? I'll wake up to my alarm.
Really?
And I'll just fall asleep.
So do you physically get out of bed
No,
at that point?
I don't do it anymore.
Really?
I just get intentional about what the video said. And again, that shouldn't be on my algorithm.
Right.
I wasn't looking up anything like that or C.S. Lewis or any of that on
that's crazy.
YouTube.
That's just how I found this book is.
Yeah.
Long story, believe me or not, but I've had a lot of stuff happen like this in the past year. That some really, really hard, some of the hardest stuff that's ever happened to me in my life has happened in the last year. But long story short, it's Christmas, downtime, everybody's, done with the day, gone to bed. I'm still just kind of residual, kind of hanging out. And I don't really listen to podcasts that much anymore. I take in a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, same.
And I stopped listening to podcasts when I started seeing the influence of me on here translating from what I heard from some other podcasters maybe.
Okay.
So I was like, to sharpen my tool, I want to genuinely be myself. Like maybe I need to cut this out or whatever. But because Christmas was the downtime or whatever, I was like, I'm going to go and see what Sean Ryan's doing or something. And I don't totally not listen to podcasts. Like if my friends are on, like if you went on Sean Ryan or Rogan, I'm going to go and listen to the entire episode. Like I'm going to pop some popcorn and we're sitting down for a couple hours. But I just happened to click it on and it was Sean Ryan. I think one thing that he does that's really cool is he puts out an episode on Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I didn't know that. And there's a ton of people that, have to spend that holiday alone. And this one just happened to be on faith and the life of Jesus and all this crazy stuff, right? That I'm just kind of diving into. And I was like, I don't know, who's this Strobel guy? You know, like
he's pretty prominent. He's pretty prominent in that space.
He looks like kind of like Ned Flanders, right? Like I'm used to going. I was going to Sean Ryan to listen to an operator story, right?
Of course, because that's what he does.
Whatever, yeah. Because he's had a couple of my friends on, and I was like, I was going to go find somebody new. So I'm like, what is this? So we started about 10 minutes, or I got about 10 minutes into the podcast, and they had mentioned, you know, we did one of these last year. Is the only recurring guest that Sean, I think, has ever had on. Maybe I got that wrong. But anyways, long story short, I was like, I just stopped it right there, and I went back one year. It was super easy to find on Christmas, and started listening to him. And I didn't get, it was great information. I didn't get that far in, but he mentioned that his son was an author and wrote this book. And at that time, I had just got done trying to say my prayer. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Like,
Right.
I need some guidance. I need some, and then boom, this pops up, and I go to bed listening to audiobooks because that slows my mind down. It gives me peace, a little bit of calm. I've incorporated prayer in that, but that's crazy, man, because I've only adopted, you know, what I learned praying with intention from that book. I think it's like chapter 7. I've listened to it multiple times. It's only 22 minutes if you want to just go listen to that chapter. And I used to wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and it would always be the hype of like, man, I got so much going on. How am I going to keep this all together? How am I going to keep all of the sand in my hands?
Sure,
right?
agree. Yeah.
Which is almost a bit of greed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't hold all that sand. There's tons of sand at the beach. You can't pick it all up and hold it. Good luck even trying to carry it back to your beach house, right? Like you can only carry so much. So that was always my worry. It was like, man, how am I going to keep up with this edit, that, everything I got going on in business, normal life, keep making sure that my kids are staying on track with what they want to do because they're performing at a high level. Like, you get the struggle, man. You got some savages for children as well. So long story short, finding that has just, it eliminates all that noise because that would be the first thing I would think about. It was never a negative thing. Just like, okay, I got to check all these boxes before 10 a.m.
Right.
Well, and in the last year, I've kind of adopted this principle, man. I love that time in the morning, man. There's a reason why I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning is because of that peace and quiet. Like I know that I have a solid 2 hours to myself for introspection. Now it's prayer, you know, tackling those things, maybe getting some stuff out of the way that's looming over my head. I can just knock it out real quick, like the monotonous stuff, like mortgage shit or bills or whatever, right? Like you can hammer all that out within 10 minutes on a fresh mind, right? But if you're trying to do it at the end of the day at 9 o'clock at night, like it's just
tough.
It's rough. So I've really in the last year is like, you know, I always struggle with taking care of myself once I do get that busy too, right? Like, am I actually going to the gym? Am I getting in enough cardio? Oh shit, it's hunting season. Like now I'm really finding out I'm out of shape or whatever, right? Or maybe I'm going back into a jiu-jitsu class and I'm getting killed or whatever. I've tried to make it a goal, and it doesn't happen every day, but it's a goal to be up by 5, get done what I need to get done and within the first hour, get to the gym and spend a solid amount of time there. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like a good 2 hours is enough time for me to get in cardio and lift and stay healthy and stay physically good. And then another hour on the back end to take the daughter to school or whatever needs to happen there. And then just work.
Yep.
Till 5 and then shut it off.
Yep.
And then go home and be a dad.
Love it.
If I can check all of those boxes, being a dad is really easy.
Yeah.
When I don't, I feel like I'm almost like kind of missing out on one of those parts. But
And what you just explained is discipline.
yeah, got to have discipline to do it, right? Because man, That 5 o'clock alarm sucks, dude.
Discipline,
Or
man.
4:30.
Yeah. Can you look up if you type in C.S. Lewis, I think it's 3:30 a.m. wake up or something like that.
That's so wild,
bro.
man. I'm gonna go and watch this now.
C.S. Lewis, Lewes. You have to go watch this, Bobby. I.S. Sorry.
Oh, IS.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
It might be right down here. It's the one. Keep going down.
Between 3 and 5.
I think it's this one, the 3 and 5 one.
Okay, scroll back up, Tyler.
Yeah, it's
second one down?
I believe it's that one right there. Yes, it's that one.
Okay.
So if you go watch that one, you don't have to put it on here, but I'm saying for just for your own sake, Bobby, and then listeners, if you want to go look at this on your own time, go look that up, because let's just say this is all bullshit. Like, let's just say that in here someone woke up at 3 a.m. and then they decided to make this video, okay? Let's just say that that's what that is. That was pretty profound thinking to then put, for example, myself into a mental position to say, instead of being upset and thinking about all the things coming up in your day, why don't you then connect when it's quiet with communication with God and increase your faith, pray for others on top of that, be a steward like you're being asked to. In Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, it says, don't lean on your own understanding, lean on me, right? Mm-hmm. So in that just alone right there, I don't care. Even you could dispute me all you want and say that was somebody that made that up and okay, cool. But the point is how did it land on my page and the algorithms that happen when I never sought that out? And it just randomly was like the biggest, like, thumbnail I've ever seen, like glaring. And I was like, what the, and I'm looking at it
Not
going,
to mention, because as soon as you hover, like, go back and hover over that, Tyler, like a cross pops up.
Instantly. I know. And it's kind of cartoonish.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the? And I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, and anyway, so it's one of those, and I can't remember, because there's like 3 of them, but it's one of those. You guys will find it. But the point is that you'll go and I watch, and I was like, I know who C.S. Lewis is. I've read a lot of his stuff, but the point is I've never looked any of that up. Okay, and divine intervention is what I believe. Someone can believe something different. Someone could believe that this is man-made. Fair enough. I don't care how it got there. Yeah. The point is that I'm telling you guys and myself ultimately, wow, instead of being so selfish about what you have to come up, what's coming up in your day and being upset that you're not sleeping, why don't you go dive into what matters the most anyway? And then you know what's happened, Bobby? I just fall right back asleep with peace, bro. I just go right back to sleep. I'm not going, go to sleep. No, I'm just sitting there going, and I'm praying, and then the next thing you know, I'm up, and my alarm goes off or whatever, and I get up, and I'm like, oh, wow. And I stopped looking at my phone. That's the other thing, is I used to look at the time all the time.
Yeah.
And it would kill me. So I just put my phone face down. I don't look at it. But the other night, just for shits and giggles, and it's been a minute. It's been probably a year that I've been putting because my wife was the first one who was like, why don't you put your phone face down? It's distracting, blah, blah. Of course she's always right. Yeah. But the point is that
I do it. I have a habit with my watch.
Right.
Too. Yeah.
So the other night when this happened to me, I just, for shits and giggles, I looked. It was 3:29, just like it says right now. And I was like, what? And it's always around that time,
really?
Bro. Yeah. And so it's weird. And sometimes it is that I have to get up and take a leak or whatever. But a lot of times I don't have to do anything. I'm just up. I'll just be up.
That's crazy. It was just 3:20.
I know. So,
bro, you want to hear something wild? This is another thing that I'd never tell anybody, and people will think that I'm batshit crazy for saying this, but I had a weird thing, and I don't know. could never figure out the correlation of it. But there was morning and night, maybe 80, 90% of the time, I'd be like, I wonder what time it is. And even if the phone was down, like you said, it'd be 911.
Oh, really?
911.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it always freaked me out. Like, pretty bad.
Huh.
It stopped happening
It's weird.
within the last, like, since I've adopted, like, been full in on, like, okay, I'm going back to being, like, just 100% God-fearing,
Yeah.
giving myself up.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know, bro. Some wild stuff.
There's some things you can't explain. But
And then I'm going to tell you some other stuff off of mic that happened this year that's just, it's totally divine.
yeah.
I think I've talked about it on the
Yeah.
podcast, and I don't want to go down it, but man, we had, a school shooting here. I lost
Yep.
a really close family member, like
It's bad.
kind of the cornerstone of my family. Yeah, just a lot of stuff that's led me to question and open my mind to some different things or different possibilities, and probably the biggest.
Good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, not good about those trials,
No.
but good in the sense of your personal growth. It brings a huge smile to my face because I think it's so cool that
I was excited to tell you today.
Yeah, I think it's great,
I've been
man.
excited for a while to tell you, but
I think it's really
I wanted
cool.
to thank you.
Yeah.
Most off.
Yeah, don't thank
Like,
me,
that's-
thank him.
I do.
Yeah.
I do, but
Yeah.
you were a conduit to that, man.
Yeah, well, thank you.
It's huge. It means a lot to me.
And I think it goes back to what I said my wife said. Sometimes you might just be the only Bible someone ever reads.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm better or special or perfect. I'm not. But I'm just saying just the actions in general.
But this is a good point. Because you had faith in me, and I'm not saying that that's the only reason,
Yeah.
but because you had faith in me when nobody was in my corner, we had met at a bow shop, which
We
is pretty
randomly
cool,
met
right?
at the bow shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you're Coach Mark,
Yeah.
aren't you? Like,
Yeah.
you coach Factory X.
Yeah.
Like, I've been watching you for years or whatever. And you were just a cool dude.
Yeah.
And then, 6 months later or 7 months later,
Yeah.
I started a podcast or
Yep.
something like that. And I called you. I was like, hey, man, this is brand new. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, basically, but would you want to come up and be on? And you're like, absolutely. I'd be honored to, or whatever you said. It was just like, it was automatic encouragement to me. But then from that day on, and I've forged a lot of friendships in here, but yours is forged because of the mountainside, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
But my point is, because you had faith in me, look at all the good that it's done in my life. Look at all the good it's done for the mountainside. Like, there's so much history. Like, I think you gave me this coin, I don't even know, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look what it started, right?
Yeah.
I think you were probably the first challenge coin on the table.
Yeah.
I'd gotten a lot of these, but the ones that I have in here only come from the podcast.
Sure.
Like that connection. I have a whole collection of these at home. But this was definitely the first coin. And it just it's led to so much. Like, it's led to me almost being a part. Like, I feel very honored for this, man. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm part of the Factory X community because I know how much these mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially if you forget it and you're out with Dustin Jacoby, you got to buy some drinks or something, right?
And he can drink, boy. When he's not in camp, he can drink.
But yeah, it's really cool that you had faith in me, and it was genuine faith, I guess is what I'm getting at, man. So I really thank you for that, man. It's been huge for the podcast. Like, look at what it's led to. It's led to so many different things, and you're a major part of that. It's led to me having Jordan Kurtz sit in here, Dustin Jacoby, Cody Brundage, Vince Pichel, Yusuf, Chris Camozzi. Like, you can just go down the list, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, it's
opened so many doors.
It's cool to hear, man. It's cool to see, and like I always say to you, I'm always super proud of just what you're doing and the growth that you've had. And it's really cool also to get to hear those guys' stories and other people that I don't know, like I told you, my kids they've always been huge fan of yours.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
shout out.
Yeah.
I love your kids too.
Yeah. Wyatt and Brooklyn have always been like,
we're about to get Wyatt up in here.
yeah.
So.
And you'll love that kid. He's funny, but
I can't wait because I'm getting into golf now too. Because my son is. Yeah.
He's crazy motivated. You want to talk about discipline? Those two kids are so disciplined and they've learned it by watching a lot of failure and a lot of success. They've grown up around that environment where chasing your dream is possible, but it's going to take a lot of discipline and work. And you're not going to just have the just the rainbows out of it.
They see all sides of it.
Yeah,
right?
and they have. And it's really forged them well because I've made a joke about this. Like I grew up in a tough neighborhood in Denver, like Federal and Alameda and ish area.
Yeah.
But my kids have grown up in the suburbs, but I've taken my kids to the hood because the gym basically is like a prison ministry.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I always call the gym a prison ministry. I'm like, oh, this is what you put me in, you know what I mean? And so, but they've grown up, around, because fighters are rough around the edges, and me included. And so they've got to taste both worlds, which is really cool. And it's grounded them well and made them humble and hungry too. And so, and of course my wife has done an amazing job because I've been gone a lot and she's killed it, on that end too. And so, but with all those things said and growing up around those kids and even the tough stuff, like, the kids that aren't there anymore or the losses or the fun stuff like the wins and the belts and, all those things that they've gone through as kids, when I see them in their environment, whether it's like Brooklyn when she was running or she coaches the kids program now, she's in sales at the gym, she's learning business, she's learning how to run a business, she's learning all the things. I see that like grit in her, and I watch Wyatt. He grew up, and both of my kids have grown up on the mat training, but I've never pushed them to fight. If they had that in their heart and they wanted to do it, cool. But, you got to love that. And
you got to want to do that.
You got to love that.
Yeah.
And so, and I've never pushed it. But like I said, if they wanted to, like they really had the vigor to go do that, it's not that I would have derailed that. But my kids have gone in other avenues, although they've trained, on the mat and learned a lot of valuable things there. When I see Wyatt out in on the golf course, because that kid's such a good golfer, and he's been really blessed in the sense of being an athlete, but more so he's been blessed with the mindset that you don't get unless you've grown up in that environment around professional athletes your whole life and seeing that dreams are possible.
His level of confidence and it's weird to say this, but like wisdom at 18 years old is shocking, dude.
Both of my
like,
kids.
Wait a minute. Am I talking to an 18-year-old kid that's still a senior in high school, or am I talking to... He's got it better together than some of the adults that I know.
Yeah, both of my kids. They're very kind of old souls.
Yeah.
They have a lot of wisdom for as young as they are. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it is just the way they've grown up and just been the people they've been around, really good influences on those kids. Mm-hmm. And they've seen some kids that weren't, life was kicking their ass too. And then they had to learn from that as well. And they've seen me have to work really hard to continue to do what we do, and also the people around us do the same thing, and know that all things are possible if you'll just grind and if you just stay in it, And so when I watch them both go through life and walk through life, I see it come out, and I'm like, oh, that's dope, And so, like, I have so many proud moments when I watch those two, and when I watch Wyatt on the golf course and I see that he hit a bad shot or whatever happened, and he's over there wanting to berate himself or is berating himself under his breath, right? Mm-hmm. That he's also learned that when you get up to that next ball, you got to lock back in. And he's seen that through his whole life inherently, and it's made them who they are. And I think it's part of why they do have wisdom at such a young age, is because it's been just ingrained in them purposefully, I guess, but more so just by influence and by their presence and them just watching and observing.
That's a great point, because I think that there's all these misconceptions with fighters in general, and especially professional fighters, that they're like complete savages, and they are, right, when they need to be.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And almost all of my biggest influences are savages in one form or another, right?
Yeah.
Or warriors in one form or another. Like a lot of my mentors are in business, and I mean, that's why I love surrounding myself with, there's a lot of commonalities between fighters and guys from like special operations, and then also even in the entertainment industry, right? Because there's so much suck in all of that, right? And not to say that any of them are on level playing fields or one's better than the other, but man, those people seem to be the most honest, truthful, humble, and genuine people that I know. Are people that have really faced like horrible, horrible shit in their life, man. And when I say horrible, it doesn't have to be like the worst thing that ever happened to you, but like just hard things and failure, and then being honest about it, right?
Yeah, and I think the misconception sometimes is that those fighters, they're going in there and they're fighting some other guy, and to people from the outside looking in, that obviously is brutal, and how can they do that? And don't you have to be mad at somebody to do that? And like those things that perceived notion that you have without knowing the whole story is understandable. Like, I completely understand why people would think that. But the most dangerous people I know are not the fighters. It's the people that don't have the control that those fighters have. Yes. Those are dangerous people.
Most of the audience, especially when you start playing
go to an MMA fight. Yeah. That audience is wild.
Yeah.
And so, the fighters, they learn. The mat is so humbling.
Yeah.
To get on a mat and go do that and get your ass kicked every time.
The most humbling thing, man, is getting choked out, or especially if it's like by somebody that you view as, I hate to say this, but inferior, right? Like,
yeah,
somebody that you should like, a small person or another sex or whatever, right?
It is humbling.
It can be humbling.
And those guys learn that, and so they learn that responsibility that carries as well as a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
Same in business, same in the military. Like, there's a responsibility when you endure experience, and so how do you carry that forward? How do you move that forward, right? And so, and that's the environment my kids have been blessed to grow up in, and so. And I'm very proud of them. And like I said, they're, my wife, Jara, she has a lot to do with that as well. But when I watch, I'm like, it wasn't my intention. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to raise my kids in the suburbs, and then I'm going to bring them to the hood, kind of. And then they're going to live kind of dual lives, but have a mixture of those two things. Because it's kind of how I grew up. Like, I grew up in a tough neighborhood here in Denver, but then my dad came from southern Colorado, and they have homesteaded in 1850. I've told the story before.
Yeah, that's so badass.
Have Native American roots, etc., and have always had that like outdoor influence in my life, even though I grew up in the inner city, and so I've had like almost like dual personalities. Where I like country music, but I like rap music too. You know what I mean? And so, and I grew up listening to both. And I feel the same way about my kids. Like, they have lived in a suburb life growing up, gone to schools in the suburbs, but then every day they went into the gym, and the gym's got some rough edges and
some wild people, right?
And but some of their favorite people, and I'm not saying they don't have good friends from school, but some of their favorite people have come from the gym because the authenticity of those people is ever present and always will be, because you're not going to go, like I said earlier, fight in your underwear in a locked cage in front of someone that wants to put you in the hospital in front of millions of people if you're not just unique and vulnerable and willing to take chances and chase a dream.
And the heart the size of a Mack truck. Man.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
It's wild, man.
For sure. And so it's cool. It's
one of a kind.
It's been a blessing to grow them up there, and they, you want to talk about faith-based. Mm-hmm. My kids have an amazing faith base, way better than I ever had when I was their age. And a lot of that has to do with my wife too, because my wife, you want to talk about a soldier of God, bro. She is the epitome. Like you're saying, you wake up early and have 2 hours. That's her. She wakes up early every day. Doesn't matter if it's the weekend, the week. She has her own little study, and she goes in there and she literally is reading the Bible, and she reads it, and she has other avenues of how to break down scripture and learn and digest and pray and all the things that we've talked about today. And you want to talk about a soldier, bro. Like her, I'm like, she puts me to shame, like legit when it comes to that. And it's a big reason again why our kids are good kids. They're not perfect, but they're good kids, and it's cool to see, man. And I'm like, and you know what's crazy is, I would say this to the people that are listening to this. My wife and I didn't start out that way. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like we both had a faith base, like we grew up in that. That wasn't like it wasn't like it is today. But we both made a choice as a team, her and I, that's going to be a rooted foundation for us as in our marriage, and then when we have kids, for them as well. So my point in saying that is, it's never too late to get that going. Does that make sense? And
I think when the time is right,
it is.
Like you got to seek it.
Or when the time is wrong, because I always say this all the time.
That's when most people do, yeah.
I always say this all the time, especially with fighters. Some fighters, bottom is very deep, dog. Sometimes I'm like, are we not at the bottom yet? You're still digging that freaking hole, bro.
Yeah.
And sometimes the bottom is deep, and sometimes it's shallow. Mm-hmm. But it depends on how deep your bottom is, right? Because if you're still digging and it's getting darker and darker, it would be, I would suggest that you find some light. You know what I mean? And if it's shallow, then I would suggest that you learn how to catapult that thing. And so I think it always stems back to that, and it's always grounded me and guided me. And we could speak years and years about that at length, and we have today. And so, and I appreciate the platform to get to do that, because it is very important, and it's the ultimate.
And the wildest thing is my hole is super deep, bro. Like deep. But yeah, it goes back to, honestly, like, have faith in other people too, man. Like you did in me coming in here, like you have in a lot of the fighters that you mentor, your own family. I think it's important, and don't be. I think one of the coolest things about you having faith in me is you didn't judge me. I didn't even know how Instagram worked or anything. And then you went and tagged a bunch of people and whatever you did, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's not my job to judge. It isn't.
Yeah.
And so it's just my job to try to be authentic and learn and then teach.
And you can learn something from everybody too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I like wild people, dude. Like
Same. I've always been attracted to
people that are on the fringes, man. Like
that's why I coach a bunch of savages.
Yeah, I love being around wild people, man. And
yeah,
I always have been. And
I grew up in that environment.
Yeah,
it was very chaotic. A lot of
Yeah.
growth though. A lot of laughs, a lot of tears.
Yeah.
But very chaotic. Like that, growing up in a chaotic environment, I think led me to crave some of that, and maybe in a good way and in a bad way. And
Yeah, because it can be addictive, man. Like you can find yourself in some bad situations.
100%.
Yeah.
But we're formed for reasons, and I think it's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because
I think that's why people rob banks in groups, man. It's like,
let's go do this together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and part of coming on here today is for those people that are just having that hard time, man, because I've been there so many times, and I will again, and it's just to give some hope, and it's what gives me purpose. Does that make sense? Because hope is everything. Like you need some hope, and it has to be sometimes hour to hour, and sometimes it can get extended past that, and you get more stability. But even if it's just hour to hour right now, and you just need a little hope. I hope my whole intention was that you gather some of that because you listen to this, and you may find you have the same story that you and I have had, where I had no intention in listening to this podcast, and it just popped up or was suggested to me, and I listened to it, and it changed my perspective forever. And that ultimately is why I'm here, and also to support you. But that also is 1A, 1 and 1A.
That's my ultimate goal here too, man.
Yeah.
Is like, as much as this is educational for me, I hope it is for everybody else, right? Like that being at the forefront thought of my mind. It's not a monetary thing. It's not a look at me. It's not a fame. It's none of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I get out of this,
Yeah.
man. So thank you for being a part of it. I think we should end on that note because we're 3 hours in.
Are we? Oh, wow. Okay.
Or we're coming up on it.
Nice.
Before we jump real quick, it's awesome the book's finally coming out.
It will this year.
Are you going to do an audiobook?
Yeah, I'll do an audiobook.
Do you want to do it in here? You
I would
can
love to.
record it in here if you want.
I would love to.
It's all yours.
I would love to. Thank you. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's
I
like
want to
it's
do
fun.
an audiobook, and I want to do it in my voice.
Let's go.
And I think I want it to be 12, maybe 13 chapters. 12, I think for sure. I have 8 done. So we're close. And I just need I almost need like a weekend, and I can probably finish it. You know what I mean? But good luck
when the
finding
time
a
is
full
right,
weekend.
dude.
But I'll get
be
it done.
waiting. Just
I'll
know
get it
that
done.
I'm waiting.
I will get it done, and I hope it'll be. I know it'll be something that has had a lot of hard work and a lot of trials, tribulations, and successes, and just the ability to sit on the corner stool and let me just impart what I've learned. That's all.
That's
so,
rad.
yeah, that's.
I can't wait to read it, man. I can't wait to listen to it. If you need any help in that space, I'd be glad to help you with what I know. We've
Okay.
had a
Yeah, I'd
ton
love
of
to.
authors in here that have sat across from me
Love it.
that have been through that
I need
process.
a publisher, so let's figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Or I can point you, I can
Yeah.
get you in touch with some people that
Sure.
would know how to do that.
Sure.
So
Which would be great, because this is all new to me. And I don't intend to stop with one. I want to do that, and continue. The other thing is just go out and speak more. I'd like to speak a lot more publicly, and that's something that I'm going to make intention. Like your word is have intention to go do more of that, and I just feel like I've been blessed with where I sit today, and I can go give hope, and that would be my purpose, So, like I said, the cage has been my classroom, and it's really pertained to life, and I see that when people invite me in to speak, and I see that from the messages I get from people, and so I really embrace that responsibility, and I want to continue to give back that way. And I think I've been blessed to be able to do that and live this and articulate it, and I just want to go do it. So those are 2 things I really want to do more of this year. I want to finish that book, get it published and done, and I want to go do some speaking engagements, more speaking engagements than I've done in the past, to open some of this up and we'll see what happens.
That's awesome. Well, I'm in your corner, so
Thank you.
anything you need or any way that we can help, you always have a platform here. I don't care who's in that seat. You let me know when you want to come back, and
I appreciate it.
it's open. We didn't even really get into Factory X. What do you guys got going on at the gym? You're constantly training fighters. There's kids classes. It's open to the public. You've been very, very gracious with anybody that we've ever sent down there to help them out, including some savages like Jeremiah.
Yeah. Send more Jeremiah's in.
I got a quick question for you too on
yeah.
that. So Factory X located right here in, is it Littleton?
It's Inglewood.
Inglewood.
Yep.
Okay. Something that I wanted to ask you, is it Guardian at Factory X or
Yep.
Guardian?
Yep. The Guardian program. So,
yeah. What is that about?
So I'll tell you a couple of things. So some changes have happened. Since you talked about the Guardian program, essentially what that is we scholarship kids that can't afford to train. So people's donations help us do that. And we've done that in the past. Like my wife and I have said, listen, we're here your scenario, we're here your situation. We'd like to scholarship this kid on our own dime and give him a platform or her a platform to train here. And we've done that in the past. We've done that since we've owned the gym, since 2008, okay? But with the Guardian program, we can reach more people with people's donations. And when they donate, it gives us the ability financially to then say to a family or a student or an adult who's having a tough financial time, but they really, like, you can tell that the gym is going to change them and help them grow. And so what we've been able to do with the Guardian program is it's not through Factory X. So it's not us taking the money. It's the Guardian program taking it. And then it's actually a tax write-off. And so you can donate that money.
So it's a nonprofit?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So Guardian's
cool.
a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And you can donate that money. And whatever money is donated goes into the Guardian account. So it's not coming straight to us like we're just taking it. And then because of that, though, you can write that off as a business or as an individual because you're donating to that cause, to a nonprofit. So tax-wise, that will help you or whomever it is. And then more importantly, though, we're able to, because we get students that come in, and we try to help a lot of kids, but sometimes it's adults. But we get students that come in that are in a tough financial situation, and then we will make that call. And if you've donated money, we keep you guys updated on, hey, your money has gone to this child's life to train for 12 months or whatever happened, so that you get updates on what happened with your money.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's a cool program that was founded, and then we were approached about it. And like I said, my wife and I were already doing it.
Plus, there's so many good influences in your gym that are coming in and out of there,
Totally
man,
agree.
and success stories. Like,
Totally agree. So any whether it's $5 or $5,000, the point is the money that you donate is going to a good cause. It's going to help kids learn martial arts and in a safe and structured environment. A lot of kids get bullied, and you have that thing, and you have kids that have aspirations to want to be an MMA fighter maybe, that are young. But whatever their situation is, the point is that not everybody has the financial means to get it done. And as a business, we have to continue to keep the lights on. And so we have, like I said, we have sponsored people in the past, but we get a bigger outreach by using Guardian. And so if you guys are interested in that, we'd love to have that, and we'd love to have your donations, because you're literally changing these kids' lives. And I've seen this happen, and they're so grateful, and they come constantly. That's the other thing, is when they get scholarship like that. One of my fears was when people get stuff for free, they don't appreciate.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So we do have a contract with them that says, hey, there's some requirements on there that they need to hit. And if they're not hitting those requirements, we pull the scholarship and give it to somebody else.
oh, that's cool.
And so because we want it to be.
Plus, it's so easy to quit.
It's so easy to quit. Exactly. Anything. And so.
Especially when you're putting on your gi for the
right.
10th time or whatever. You're
exactly. But the kids that stick with it, man, it's cool. And so
awesome,
I just met a guy at, you mentioned Eric Telly, and one of his interns that came in there came from the Guardian program in California. And he was like, Coach, I saw you guys have a Guardian. He was like, I was one of those kids that did that, and now he's becoming a personal trainer.
Oh, so this is a national organization?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking cool.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
And so
I'd reshared some of the stuff because I thought it was cool, but I didn't realize it was on a national.
No, it's on a national level.
Really cool.
If you donate to something in California, it goes there. If you donate to the Factory X one, it goes to our students.
That makes
sense?
Yep.
But the point is it's cool, man. Like it's really changing these kids' lives. And like I said about my kids, martial arts has formed them, like mentally and physically. And to learn the humility on that mat is a big deal. And people think, oh, my kid's going to go learn how to fight. There's a huge responsibility that is taught to them about what they're learning. And then also the humility of the thing is just producing amazing people. And so that's a cool thing. The other thing that's happening that's worth mentioning is when I first started the gym, I taught every class. I taught the kids, I taught the adults, and I taught the fighters. And so I used to teach them all. And then as we've grown, we've given opportunity for instructors to go coach some of those things. Then my role has gotten busy with the fighting and the traveling. And so, but I just recently inserted myself back into coaching in the evenings to the students because
cool.
I don't think people realize this. I never started the gym to be a UFC coach. I didn't. I've been very blessed to be very good at that job. But I started the gym because I just wanted to teach people martial arts because I knew what it did for me. And I knew the outlet that I needed. And I was like, man, there's got to be more people out there like that. And there is. And so I started the gym just to coach martial arts. Does that make sense? And so I never did it to be a UFC coach. And so recently I was like, you know what? I want to go and teach some of the open classes again. And so I started coaching some of the open classes. I just started a new MMA program. I've never taught MMA to the public my whole career. I've only kept that in secret to my fighters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so
I think I saw you post that or something.
Yeah. And I started a new MMA program. It's twice a week. But the point is that you're getting to learn that stuff from the source and from my coaching staff. And it's cool to insert myself back into the general public too. So it's something that I've enjoyed doing again. And man, I feel like I'm working like I did when I was 30 though. Again, I'm like, dude, I'm too old for this. But if you come in, you might catch me coaching some of those classes. So that's been something that we have instituted recently, and it's something that's really been good for the gym and reinvigorated me a little bit too on the at least with the general public, because I haven't had a lot of that in a while because I've been so busy on the fighting side. And so I just we thought it was important to do that again. So I've been doing some of that.
What an opportunity, man.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, no, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to explain some of that and on your platform here. And if people are interested, you can obviously get a hold of us, and we'd love to meet them and train with them. And, like you said, Jeremiah is like who we were talking about with the epic mustache. He was one of those guys. And so,
send a 20-year Green Beret.
yeah, man, I love it. And he was such a pleasure having in there. So we'd love to have more of those type of people.
Yeah,
and
let's go.
We'd love to train you guys. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming on. If you're listening to this right now, there's live links in the show notes. Wherever you're listening, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, look for the show links. There'll be links to Factory X, Coach Marc Montoya's Instagram page, Factory X Instagram. We'll keep going down the list. There's a link to Guardian there. What else? We talked about something early on that I was going to link. We'll link War Party Movement, War Party Ranch, which is Jeremiah's foundation.
Yeah, of course.
They're doing some really cool stuff. There was something else I was going to link in there, but Marc, man, I really appreciate you, man. I appreciate everything that you've done for me, man. It means a lot that you keep coming back too. This is your 5th or 6th time, man, I think.
Yeah, man, and I'll be back again. So,
yeah.
Just so that your audience knows, he's resilient. He reaches out to me, and even when I say no, he doesn't get his feelings hurt. And I don't say no because I don't want to come.
I know that.
But he keeps reaching out, and that is the true definition of the discipline. And I appreciate you doing that because it's not that I don't want to come. It's just life gets busy, and it's tough to do. And so thanks for staying on me because I come up because you keep reaching out, so keep doing that. So thank you, and I'll be back.
I get 3 uninterrupted hours with you. Yeah. How else am I going to get that? You know?
Right.
Man, I appreciate your friendship and just everything, and always your support, Marc, man. It means a lot to me.
Hey, same to you, man, and thank you. And you've been a ton of fun to talk to, and it's been cool to watch. Like I've already said, your growth and the people you have on here, and all the stories and. You know, the platform you've created is a cool environment and culture, and keep doing it because it matters. And so even though sometimes it can be from the inside, it sometimes may not feel that way, but it matters, and keep doing it. And I mean, my 2 kids are huge fans of yours, and they barely know you. So keep it up, man. Keep killing it.
No, it's awesome, man. I really appreciate it all. Thank you for helping me start that. Really.
Of course.
And thank you for saying yes, man. I love you, brother.
My pleasure. Love you too, bro.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Take us away.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.